All right. What's up, everybody? How you doing out there? Welcome back to the show. This is last week's fight. My name is Thinker St. James, and tonight we are going to be going over each and every fight from UFC Fight Night, Moreno versus Erceg, taking a look at this upcoming week, which is UFC Fight Night, Emmett versus Murphy. And to do all of that with me, as always, the Ohio player, my co-host, my good friend, a man who I hope does not have to shit himself like Lupe Godinez, Mr. Chase Parton. How you doing, brother?
Holy shit. Holy shit. I am good to go. Like, wow, I can't tell you how good of a time that I'm already having, because talking about fights and talking about the fights that we're about to get into specifically, highlight of the week so far, and I'm guaranteeing it's going to be the highlight going forward. So I'm ready.
All right, right on. Well, hey, I see E-Money J checking in. Thanks for being here, brother. If you are new to the show, we're going to be going over each and every one of these fights as they appeared on the card. If you have anything that you want to talk about in the chat that is not pertaining to the fight that we are talking about at the moment, you can throw it in there, and hopefully we'll come back to it. Remind us a little bit. We'll come back to it a little bit later in the show. But to get started with this thing, this is UFC Fight Night, Moreno versus Erceg. This took place in Mexico City at the, what was it called? Sorry, I had it in the notes. The CDMX Arena CDMX in Mexico City, Mexico. Initial thoughts, Chase?
Initial thoughts going into this is that, man, do I love the Mexican culture. So I'm going to love a card in Mexico. And here was I not going to be disappointed in my mind. So that was initially.
I'm glad that you did, because one person who did not love the Mexican culture was Mr. Joe Pyfer. We had one fight that was canceled on this card. It was Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer. That was canceled due to a day of illness on the part of Mr. Pyfer. Chase, what did you think about Joey Pyfer and his illness there?
I want to first point out that I don't know if you saw that, 19 minutes before he pulled out, the UFC had posted a clip of him having an interview with probably Megan O'Leary or something, saying this was the healthiest that he's been.
I did.
I hope that was old. I really hope that I hope I just didn't read it right and they were tricking me, but I could be wrong. Now, Joe Pyfer, on the other hand, I mean, as you alluded to already, and we'll get into it, Lupe Godinez, as a Mexican native, knows how to power through these type of things. Joe Pyfer did not want to take the risk, and this is why you don't get big dubs. You might take big things, but big dubs are not what you're taking. So, yeah, and then he had the nerve, and we'll get into this post a little bit that he made where he just fucking ragged on Mexico for no reason.
Tore the entire country apart, calling it a shithole, saying that he was never going to go back to Mexico because of something that could happen to anybody in any place. I mean, if it was legitimately food poisoning, like he essentially had said that it was, then that can happen anywhere, and that's just part of the game. Like, why Mexico is being the problem?
We talked about it on the week before. You said, didn't Michael Jordan have the flu? And I said, no, it was actually food poisoning. Well, here's your answer. Is Joe Pyfer Michael Jordan? No. I know you guys were wondering. Everybody was curious. The polls were kind of back and forth, but I can tell you right now, no. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. He's kind of, look, for him to come out here and say that it's, Mexico, and it's like, just like, okay, fuck, like, I guess. And it's funny too, because they announced that there's going to be another card in Mexico coming up on September, and it's like, for sure Joe Pyfer is not going to be on that one, so just don't even book your tickets if you're looking for that guy. But
yeah.
crazy.
And at the beginning of the broadcast, I didn't catch it on the initial watch, but on the rewatch, at the very, very outset of the broadcast, DC was saying that I guess he had gotten a little bit ill as well based on putting ice in his soda. So, he drank the water. Piper said he did not drink the water and still got sick. I guess it's just, it happens at various places and can happen for any reason, really. So it's just, why you would down the entire country and make it a geographic thing when it's really just a fact of life thing is a little bit, I don't know, askew on Piper's part, I would say. But
I'm glad you brought it up. Oh my gosh. The beginning of the broadcast starts with DC saying, I am not going to be able to stop running to the bathroom tonight. Like, that is like one of the first 3 lines of the fucking show. Hilarious, but honestly crazy. And because Laura's like, yeah, I know, right? Like, it's like, what is going on here? Like, you guys are crazy.
Well, and Sanko apparently, she, I guess, had to run off to the bathroom at some point as well, and DC was hazing her on the actual, like, during the fights, like in the middle of the broadcast, not when they were outside of their post there too. So, yeah, a lot of people having a lot of problems with drinking and eating when it came to this card being in Mexico. Joe Pyfer, an unfortunate victim of that. Kelvin Gastelum, I assume they took care of him, but it does suck for Kelvin Gastelum to make weight for what feels like the first time in years and him not to actually be able to fight.
That was actually my point. Is like, okay, Kevin Gastelum, Hall of Famer, but like the one time he makes weight and his opponent pulls out, like, he's taken care of on both, like, he gets show and win. Okay, maybe show, like, okay, but like, he's missed weight a couple times, hadn't he? Like, shouldn't this be like a balancing out kind of gig? Like, why
Yeah.
would Dana be like, he's good to go, we got to get him something? Wonder Boy's got to plead for his fucking life. But Kelvin Gastelum just walks in here, walks out, looking shit on the scales. But hey, man, he made it, man. Hey, fucking, he's got to get it. He did it good enough.
Yeah. Different standards for different people. We were talking about that on the Thursday show last week. So
True.
It is what it is.
Oh, was it a different show?
No, on Friday. My mistake. Sorry.
Yeah, you might have had a different show. I know you're out here just kind of
hustling.
Yeah, exactly. You got the knowledge going around the space.
Yeah. Well, whatever the case may be, we lost that one fight, but we had a bunch of other ones. So let's start getting into these fights on this card. Started off with Markel Medeiros versus Austin Hubbard. Off the bat, we had a very odd decision. What did you think of this fight, sir?
Holy shit. This Medeiros guy, he probably one of the, look, I know I said it probably right off the bat, and it might have been a little recency bias, but I really can't tell you a prospect who just sucks like this. Like,
really?
Yeah, dude, he just not very good, man. Austin Hubbard was putting the work on him, and the fact that he robbed him is damn right ridiculous. I know we were talking shit about Austin Hubbard, and I'm still not on Austin Hubbard's side. Like, I'm not a fan, but he whooped Medeiros. Like, this was 30-27. There was not a, like, Medeiros just did nothing. Like, he was one of those, evading type of maneuvering things, but like, he just wasn't able to just pull the trigger on any type of strikes, put anything together, in my opinion. Austin was just, bro, when I talk about working somebody, like, Austin Hubbard was kind of a dog in this. And I'm not a true fan yet, but okay, he's a little out of his time. But maybe at one time, maybe he was pretty legit. Like, this is kind of a throwback performance, I believe. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think I've seen this before like this.
Well, I mean, this is Hubbard's second go in the organization, so I mean, maybe he's just accrued a whole lot of experience over time and is now coming into his final form. But I mean, I didn't think that Medeiros was that terrible. I just definitely did not think that he won this fight, which I think the majority of humanity felt that way. It was a very, very strange decision here on this one, having Markel Medeiros win this thing. But I mean, it started out as a kind of feel out round with round one. I thought, there were a few decent low kicks for Medeiros, couple of shots up top for Hubbard. That was pretty much about it. So it's like with that type of round one, already it's like I'm saying somebody needs to be a little bit more definitive, but it still was, I think, Hubbard's round. And then round two, Hubbard gets the standing backpack and essentially keeps it the entire round. It goes to the ground, gets pretty close to the finish. Didn't get the finish, of course, but I mean, he had that backpack for a lot of that round.
You're reminding me that happened the entire round. Like that's why, I'm kind of forgetting like how bad this was for a moment. Like I didn't mean to interrupt you, but like you are reminding me. Go ahead.
No, that's just that's what it is. I mean, just that, like, so it's like if you think that round one was like, okay, it could kind of go either way. Like if you did think that, then round two was insanely definitive for Hubbard. And then in round three, I mean, Medeiros did open up Hubbard in the third. He was bleeding a little bit. So I guess optically you could say like, oh, that maybe that made more to the judges or meant more to them rather. But it was only after a lot of control on the ground by Hubbard throughout all of it. So, I mean, it's like if round one is barely iffy, but even still, I thought went to Hubbard. Round two is definitely to Hubbard. And round three, it's like if you're only going off of blood, maybe you can give it to Medeiros. There is no way that this added up to a victory for this guy. This is a very bad decision.
Just to counter one point, because Laura said it on the commentary in the third round, it's like it's not the blood that's the damage, it's the cut itself.
Right.
So it was on the side of the head. In theory, probably weren't gonna like they shouldn't have scored it in Laura's opinion. So the fact that the round went to him as well, like I'm actually just like this one was really crazy. I actually want to bring this up. So I have the ongoing list of the UFC Alcohol's Anonymous group with referees and judges. And when it comes down to this one, you can clearly see two of the biggest UFC trolls on the scorecard. Sal D'Amato, Mike Bell. They gave this to this dude, and I can't believe it. Like, it's actually crazy because, like, I even had money on this. I put money on Medeiros like a goofball. I don't know who I thought this dude was.
No, well, I mean, going into this fight, like I had been saying on the previous show that like his last fight was against Landon Quinones, who was on The Ultimate Fighter, and I thought Landon had like he still is coming into his own. Like he might actually be back in the UFC at some point. I'd venture to say that he might get another shot because he's one of those dudes. He's really tough, but he's like unpolished, And like I thought that he had made a lot of improvements from the fight before the fight with Medeiros. And then into that fight, he looked a lot better, but Medeiros still won the fight. So I was like, if he beat an improved version of Landon, then this kid might actually have something to him. So I was going for him as well. I mean, like, and then again, it's again against Austin Hubbard, who is, I've just also never been sold, it's the eye test kind of thing. And I've just like watching his fights. He's a really grindy fighter. He's a wrestle heavy fighter. It doesn't lend itself to explosivity that would lead me to side with him. So, based on all of that, I thought that Medeiros was a pretty good pick. He definitely did not win this fight, yet he still won this fight. So I guess it all worked out in the end somehow.
Well, it's kind of a lose-lose for Medeiros because he's going to go forward, but the competition that he faced already was better than him. Sure. But he's going to go up and he's going to potentially get a better opponent and then get smoked again. But if he'll be able to get to the bell, I mean, questionable, but like no way he gets away with a performance like this and gets a win. Like I don't care where you are other than this place right here, right now. Like you got to do it again. And if another 3 judges gives it to you like this, that's just ridiculous. And we're just in an era with troll judges. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and the old adage proves true yet again. Don't leave it up to the judges. This was the perfect fight for this type of thing to happen in. I thought that it was a little bit too definitive for it to be potentially what was going to happen. But if you, look back on it in hindsight, it's like Hubbard is that type of fighter who's just going to grind it out. Like, he's not going to have the explosivity to go out and actually get the finish a lot of the time. I mean, I think that a good amount of his wins have been decision wins. So it's like, if that's going to be the case, then you're leaving it in the hands of these very trolls that you're talking about.
And I even said this at the beginning, is like Austin Hubbard looks like the type of dude who's just got that farm strength kind of deal. Like he it's kind of different. So was I wrong to count him out? Probably, but like, am I wrong to do it again? No. So we'll see what happens. I mean, his next opponent is probably not going to be any better than Medeiros. I mean, obviously he lost, but he's one of those dudes that you can kind of throw him in against any kind of dude. His record can be in any range, and he's kind of a vet that'll throw in a different style that maybe they haven't seen yet. But as of right now, Medeiros, yeah, going forward, dude, you're gonna have to fix a lot of shit. It's the passivity. It's like, I think that's what he wasn't. The first round, of course, he wasn't doing anything. Second round, because he wasn't doing anything on the feet, Austin was able to just directly take him down. And just get the back take, the back triangle, body triangle, whatever the hell you want to call it. Yeah, he had that for a minute, man. That was crazy. Forget all.
Yeah.
It's crazy because you could forget a whole round because of something like that, because Austin Hubbard doesn't execute a finish in the moment, or doesn't like actually make it an engaging sequence on the ground or in the ground and pound. That was probably a good takeaway for him, if considering he lost. Like, not the most active person on the ground once he got it there. I mean, 62 strikes landed, and you control him for 7 minutes. I don't know. I mean, you could have done a lot more. We actually see later somebody who had a lot less control time, probably a lot less, maybe not. But we'll talk about that one. And I thought there was a lot of strikes thrown in the clinch and in the grappling and even on the ground sequence. So Austin Hubbard, I'm not going to say you're going to learn more or you should learn from this, because you just got a style that's got to stick to it now. So we'll see what happens going forward.
Yeah, yeah. And your surefire indicator as to how the commentary team feels about a controversial decision is when the in-ring commentator who's doing the Octagon interview immediately asks, "Do you think you did enough to win this fight?" Because that was what
I know, right?
DC immediately did that, and the crowd was certainly not feeling it. I don't know if Medeiros is of Mexican heritage or not, but it was interesting to hear the lack of support for the decision.
Yeah, I was gonna say they were booing. They were like, "Damn, Austin Hubbard, man, the white boy got it."
And this one, I guess, had he been flying the Mexican flag, if he is in fact Mexican, then maybe it would have been a little bit different in that regard. But two American flags on the screen, there was no allegiance there, so the crowd let everybody know how they felt about it.
Hell yeah!
All right. Moving on to Jamal Emmers versus Gabriel Miranda. Wow. Yes, this is one that we definitely did not call correctly on the predictions. What'd you think?
I think it's really funny because I be talking a lot of shit before I really do my research. Like, I go based off of what I remember for the last performance a
Right.
majority of the time, and then I really start crunching the numbers after I talk. So when I came into this one, I had already decided, like, ooh, Jamal Emmers, maybe somebody knows something even before this fight, because he was the favorite against Nate the Train. So somebody had known something at that time. He has a 90% takedown defense, something like that. Anyway, so it was pretty funny going into this one because I kind of already had accepted Miranda's like not fucking good at all. But it was a great performance for Jamal Emmers. I actually think he came out here and did a good thing. Obviously on the feet was electric. Gabriel Miranda, it says that one sub attempt. I can't remember. Oh yeah, it was that weird choke that he probably wasn't ever gonna get, that he sat on for like maybe 3 minutes. Jamal finally got up, and the way that he put Miranda down, hilarious. Holy shit. It actually started out in a sequence. Like he knocked him a little bit. Miranda got up, and his foot was kind of still asleep kind of deal. So he was tripping around, and then he came over and finished the job. Miranda was definitely out, but he obviously finished the job. So it was good on him. I like
Well,
Jamal now. I listen. You earn respect by doing something like that. When I come out and talk shit, he was listening. That's really what it was, and I respect Jamal for listening to the show. That's really what I wanted to say.
shout out Jamal. But yeah, no, I mean, this definitely will sway some opinions around here for sure. You know, I think we both were saying that it's like Jamal Emmers is just kind of a name that's on a card, but now after a knockout like that, you'll definitely remember why he gets the backing that he gets and why he got it in this fight for sure, because he was a big favorite in this fight. But the thing that stuck out to me the most was just that Miranda like he had success on the ground, but then got back up and chose to stand with Emmers after all of that was working for him. I would have thought that the way that he was doing his work on the ground, even if Emmers was able to slip out of the that head and arm that he did have, it's like, bro, stick on him like glue, pull a Raul Rosas on this dude. Like, I mean, get right back to it. There's no reason for you to be standing with this guy when you were just having success on the ground. But so it's like Miranda gets that early takedown, has the odd angle head and arm. That was the one that you were talking about that was not going to work, but he did hold it for a little minute. Emmer slipped that, and then he stands in front of him. It's like, bro, this is not the way.
Hands
Because
down, chin up.
that's what I mean. And then by the time that he realized that like Emmers was landing some hands, which he started to land a couple of them that got him wobbly, it was already too late. Miranda gets dropped. Should have been shooting for a shooting like his life depended on it at that point, because it did. And then Emmers just kept the pressure on. And then that sequence to finish it was very nice. I mean, it was the knee into the straight. That's a really nice combination. So put Miranda down for good. KO win for Emmers and lives up to the minus 500 price tag on him.
Gabriel Miranda is one of the prime example why you can't always just look at the stats and pick people, because you'll be like, wow, this guy 16 submission wins. He ain't never been subbed. He's got to be a crazy god. You know, it's got to be when the grappling comes. And as you saw in this one, he thinks that he can pull a crazy sub off. As we'll talk about somebody later who tries to attempt some crazy subs. But this guy right here, he also does the same thing. He's just not even, it's like even worse. Like it's like the B version of it. So
But if you're going to be that guy, then you need to do all of the things leading up to it that make the most sense to get there. That's my biggest problem with how Miranda fought this fight, is that you were doing good work in one department, then you switched course for no reason. Like when it got back to the feet, he should have been right up against the cage with him. You know, even if you don't get the takedown at that point, even if it's neutralizing, even if it's annoying for the fans to see, you at least are not getting knocked out. You know what I mean? And now we all didn't necessarily respect the power that Emmers had in his hands. But like, if you did any research as the opponent, then maybe you would have known that your dude is a powerful striker. So I should not be at striking range with this guy in any circumstance. So that should always, to me, have been his top priority. Instead, stands, like you said, you know, chin is right there for the taking. Jamal said, I think I'll touch that.
yeah, I think I also sometimes, when I think back to poor performances, I still believe like, oh, that means definite loss. So I gotta learn to, I gotta learn to believe in some people. Like if I believe that it's indefinite, no chance for them. Well, in all fairness, I never said Jamal was gonna lose. I just said his minus 550 tag was pretty crazy. I was pretty I said stay away from this one. But going forward, and just shout out Jamal. Like, I think this was a great performance. And of course, putting him down, getting the first finish of the night. I don't think you got a bonus, but you might have. I don't remember.
Yeah,
So,
there were a couple of good knockouts on this thing, so it was a
yeah.
stiff competition for this one. But yeah, no, Emmers doing the damn thing. Yeah, shout out to him. That was a really nice knockout, and again, a good way to wake up some of the knuckleheads who are thinking that Miranda was going to be able to sub him.
I want to talk about before this fight even started. You know how they do like the little promo video of them, not of them in the training room, but it's like the UFC cameraman. I'm trying to think of like the
Like
edited version of it.
yeah, for the tail of the tape.
No, before that.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, like when they're on like the plain background or whatever.
Yes. So like Jamal Emmers just had dreads, like a whole head of dreads, and then when he came out bald, I was like, When was that taken? Like, and then it happened later with somebody too. It happened with Edgar Chavez. He literally had a full head of hair and like, you know, a little comb over swoop. I was like, did everybody decide to get haircuts before they came here, or are these like 4 years old? Like, where did these come from? So it was definitely odd. But
yeah. Another odd moment as well was, we're talking about Jamal Emmers like he won this fight, but if you listened to Bruce Buffer, that would not, you're sadly mistaken, because Bruce Buffer announces Miranda as the winner, then tries to go for the correction, but gets cut off. I thought that was pretty funny.
So one, I did not even catch that in the moment. I normally do my pee breaks as the judges, so I can come back and be surprised. But like I actually didn't catch that in the moment. But if you watched on Twitter, Jamal Emmers coaches, they like almost started to fight. And what I believe is like, oh, they probably thought they lost the fight. Like Miranda, well, he got knocked out. So maybe that doesn't make sense at
I was
all.
gonna say,
Like, okay, maybe
who
not.
are they fighting with?
Yeah, each other.
Oh, they were fighting with each other.
Yeah, he like got up and like they started shoving each other, kind of deal. It was
his own team.
Yeah.
Or are you talking about the two inner team?
Yeah, no, the team,
the team itself. Coach.
Yeah, the coach and it was like the old white coach and like the young black coach, like between and his team. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, that is very strange.
Base CP, what did I say? Was it a good one? Anyway.
No.
Yeah,
okay. Anyway, all right. Good win for Jamal Emmers. Let's keep this thing moving here. Move on to Rafa Garcia versus Vince Pichel. This was a decent fight, I would say. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a barn burner, but it was a decent scrap. What'd you think?
It's actually pretty weird to think that Cub Swanson was the coach of Rafa Garcia, I'm pretty sure, like in his corner. But Vince Pichel, also with the rocking mustache, he fights kind of just like it, with a lot of kicks, a lot of staying at range with the jab, and just a real gritty vet. So I want to actually give him some credit first, because when I came into it, it's like, okay, he's 42, guys. Like, we can't expect too much. But this was a lot closer than two judges giving 30-27. I didn't check this one. I could also be wrong. This might be Mike Bell and Sal D'Amato, but I'm not here to say that. So I want to go ahead and say that Rafa Garcia has like no, like, he's never ready to get the finish. He's always just standing there. Vince Pichel, he was actually, dude, this is what was pissing me off so much. Every time Vince would get hit, he would stop. He would like stand there and like readjust or whatever. And Rafa would just back up. He'd just back up and just stay up distance. And it's like, why aren't you trying to, okay, you don't want to finish the old man, or like, and then even towards the end, it's like he was almost losing the fight, and the coaches are telling him, you got one more round to go ahead and do something. But like he really didn't do anything different than the other two rounds. Like it was pretty close in my opinion, but Rafa Garcia definitely should have fucking finished this dude. And Vince Pichel was eating a lot of clean shots, but he was being able to be let off the hook by getting readjustments. He was able to sit there and reset himself, and Rafa wasn't able to just start clocking him when he was doing this whole shorts check and shaking my arms out, and like he was catching him and Vince's hands were down, and then he would just be like, and then put his hand. It was like you got to like mix in a longer combination, finish with a leg kick, do a T and re-enter, exit, get back, do some stuff. Rafa Garcia actually has some good boxing if he actually fucking uses it. So the fact that he got this dub was kind of a bailout, because Vince low-key put the work on him. Most rounds, it was a little closer than it should have been for a fucking 30-27. So Rafa Garcia, you should learn a lot from this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I felt the same way, though. 30-27s is a little ridiculous. Like a UD win is fine for Garcia, but there definitely was at least a round for Pichel. The way that I broke it down was that the first round was good for Garcia, and Pichel was just too inactive in that round. He was waiting too long for counters when he should have been creating his own opportunities. Then there was the eye poke in round 2, which was unfortunate because it hit right as Pichel was starting to mount some decent offense with his hands. But I did have it 1-1 going into the third based on what activity Pichel was putting forth. Then in the third, Garcia starts to land some decent combos. Pichel calls him, is starting to wave him on, saying, hey, bring, yeah, let's go. And I was like, but you weren't doing enough of your own offense earlier in the round. So it's like, yeah, bro, you gotta like you can't you can't have it both ways. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna call for it, like you should be like putting your own out there to counter it, because you're basically giving a free ticket to have more damage done than what was already landed. But it did tire Garcia out, because he did start to fade a little bit towards the end there. And that was the time that Pichel really needed to leave it all on the table. But he was already getting a little slow himself. Of course, Pichel is a little bit long in the tooth for this sport. So that, plays its part. Garcia gets the takedown towards the very end to seal the deal, and Pichel just let it slip away from him. So, I mean, I think that all your criticisms of Garcia are definitely correct. I think that this was a good matchup based on the style that he fought, because if he had fought this way with a younger guy who's a little bit more adamant to go after it, then it could have been. There you go, right? So, I mean, that would have been a different situation, but this was the situation that he was in, so it ended up making sense for him. Just, it was just okay.
Yeah, I don't remember if the crowd loved this one or hated it, but this one didn't really do it for me at the time. I kind of quickly forgot about this. I probably went back to talking about Jamal Emmers. Like, yo, do you guys remember that Jamal Emmers dribbled bro's head off the mat? Like, like that happened probably as soon as Bruce Buffer. Let me mention right here, right now, Bruce Buffer came out looking like Satan on Saturday, and it was beautiful. He came out in the red jacket with everything else black underneath, and him reading out Miranda getting knocked out. I know that's not how he says it. I'm paraphrasing, but beautiful with the outfit. Chef's kiss.
I mean, always with Buff, obviously, but yes, the red and black was a fantastic look.
It's like, how does he keep doing it? It's like, surely I'd be like, oh no, that's the one from such and such. But like, man, I feel like he just always is able to just switch it at the right time where you would think it's going to be something you've seen before, but it's a beautiful suit. Love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. But so yeah, and I agree. I mean, this was not like the greatest fight on the planet or anything. I thought it was
that shit sucked. No, I'm just kidding.
Nah, it was fine. It was just that's what it was. It was just fine. It was an okay UD win for Garcia over Pichel, who, is probably maybe got one or two fights left.
You thought an okay UD win? Is that, I mean, like, is that what you believe? Like the judging was like, it was okay. Like that was well deserved for like him to win. Because
yeah, I mean,
I honestly I was kind of concerned I was going to get robbed.
No, I mean, I think that it should have been I think the decision was correct. It just should have been 2-1 for Garcia. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the Pichel did enough in two of those rounds to get two of them. I think that it was 1-1 going into the third, and they were both tired enough that the takedown was really the deciding factor at the end.
I could be wrong, but I think at the time I was maybe worried, like, oh yeah, Vince at least took two of these rounds. But I could be wrong. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, at least not on. I don't remember it from the watch along, but definitely on the rewatch, I was like, nah, this makes sense.
Okay, good to know. But the first one for sure, Robert. Our first fight for sure, Robert.
God, yeah, that was a clear and blatant one for sure. That's one of the more blatant ones that we've had this year, I would say.
Good deal.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to one of the more exciting fights of the evening here. This was Lupi Godinez versus Julia Palastri. Lupi with the slam. That thing
Lupi
was
with the poopy.
Yeah, Lupi the poop. Yeah, Loop the poop, I called her. Yeah, Lupi poopy.
Oh my goodness. I want to first start before I glaze Miss Loopy. God, I can't stop thinking about that. Holy shit, that's so funny.
It is funny.
Holy shit. Julia Palastri. When the camera hits her, and I remember, I think it was Elite, and he even said it at the moment, like, yo, Palastri has aura. But I didn't even need to hear him say that, because when the camera hit her, she's got this little smirk to her that, like, okay, maybe she is a little kind of crazy, and her nickname is Psycho too, which is kind of cool. Like, okay, I'm kind of buying into it a little bit. And the reason that I'm talking about it now that I buy into it, at the time I was a little skeptical, like, oh no, Lupi's gonna get this done because there's no aura there. Lupi's got the aura. But when the fight hit that third round, and this is just me giving glaze to Palastri, when the fight hit the third round, she really showed exactly who she is as a fighter. First 2 rounds, she actually did a very good job from the bottom. I was very worried, like, since we've had a lot of different scorings in the past weeks with a lot of scoring to the bottom position, that Palacio was going to pull this off. But entering that third round, I knew she wasn't up. But she actually did put some worry in my heart, like, oh my gosh, she kind of is a little more, she's a little too fresh. She's a little too cocky. She's got her hands down, walking forward. She's getting bombed. I mean, she's getting hit more, not more, but if not the same amount of times as she's throwing, she's just looking better doing it because she's walking down. And Loopy's just like tired as hell, gassed, and hands are down as well, but she doesn't look like Jason Voorhees doing it type of deal. Julia Pilastri, I will give you mega props for the aura that you have gained after this. You do enter the pound for pound list somewhere, just not the top. On the other hand, Lupe Godinez coming in probably around number 8 on the pound for pound list. She is exactly what I knew she was going to be. She was going to come in here and wrestle fuck this girl to oblivion. And that's all I needed her to do. She stood a little longer than I expected her to. As normal with the wrestlers that I see that I'm very big fans of, they are a lot better on the feet than they believe. I think Lupi was doing a good job of landing the power shots against Pilastri. Pilastri was doing good with volume, especially later in the rounds. But towards the beginning of the fight, like, Lupi was, she had that shit. And then she got it to the ground and she almost set up a crucifix. I wondered why she did not even like attempt to sink it in. Like, she really let it pass by. And then she settled for side control, and then she keeps getting into the half guard, and then they're kind of in like north south, like it. At the end of the day, Lupi was able to pull out the dub, even though her second round card or not second round, her third round cardio was very questionable after 2 rounds of wrestling, which is supposed to be her thing. Like, if you're gonna wrestle for 2 rounds and not sub them, you better be able to do it for a third round. Like, but if Lupi did not have the poopy, then she probably would have finished this fight. I know. Listen, you got to think about squeezing. Think about that. She probably would have shit herself.
Well, and for anybody who doesn't know what we've been referencing this entire time, and the break between rounds 2 and 3, Lupi mentioned to her corner that she needed to go to the bathroom. She had one on deck, and her corner did the exact right thing and said, "You got 5 minutes. You've been doing great. Go out there, and after 5 more minutes, and then we'll get you out of here, and you can go take care of your business." But everybody was a little bit concerned that we might have had another in-cage mess situation, which we have had before in fights. So thankfully, Lupi held it all together. Her bowels maintained, and she was able to pull out the victory thereafter. But yeah, I mean, the glaze for Pilastri, I think, is warranted, especially based on her striking, because like when she can let her hands go, when she has the ability to let them go, she is pretty decent with it. I mean, she's got some good striking, but I think that the real glaze does need to go on Lupi. And you say that it was all wrestle fucking. I mean, like, there were a couple of really nice explosive moments in here, starting off with the slam that I had mentioned.
Oh, true. I did forget about the fucking power bomb.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a wrestle fuck if I've ever seen it. She put her right into the fucking whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, generally when I think of wrestle fucking, I'm thinking of just people holding on the side of the cage, and just like that kind of stuff.
That's fucking bullshit. No, that's bullshit. Wrestle fucking is getting them to the ground and fucking matting them. You lay on top of them and you are landing some good strikes. You are able to, maneuver in positions. But I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I had to correct you for a second. Wrestle fucking is Hamzat. That's
fair.
wrestle
All right, hey, fair. All right, there you go. Then maybe I'll adjust my my definition. But no, I mean, that the slam was just fantastic. She grabbed the kick, and then the way that she got her up into the air, it was like she got some serious air time, pick up and drop off. Bang, went Pilastri. So that was really, really nice. Lupi gets a second takedown in the first as well. Lupi has a great use of her body weight. So if that's you talking wrestle fucking, that is definitely one of her strong suits then, because she has a great use of body weight while she's maneuvering into the positions that she wants. And I think that that's a really like admirable quality with the style of fighting that she has. Do you have something to say there?
Yeah, I think it's actually not a great look for Loopy that she settles for that side control in the half guard. I mean, she got taken to half guard a lot more than she was able to stay in side control. And I think what also you see a lot with great grapplers is they're actually able to hold the leg down and pull the full mount and actually do something. Loopy, at no point do I ever think she stepped over into full mount and was able to like make it a concern, like, oh, now strikes are gonna come and you have no answer for it. So I think that's the only thing that I would say that would be a good improvement on our ground game is actually get into the the dominant position. Don't settle for half guard, the side control, switching to north south. Like get that shit out of here. Like go step over, full mount, and pound these girls. Like bro, Loopy's built like a fucking tank. Like she's jacked.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm sorry. I have one more thing.
okay.
Lovely talk about the slam. I don't know if you got to see DC's John Madden moment where he pulls out the marker and draws on the screen.
Yes, he had the telestrator.
Yep, the
That
one,
was
2, 3. I love that. That's his
one,
little
two, three.
catchphrase.
There you go. Yeah, that was fun. But you're talking about what Loopy can do better. Well, one thing that Julia Pilastri could do better is work on her takedown defense because she did not have a single answer for all of the multiple takedowns that Loopy got. We're talking about that one slam, but I mean, that was the first round. We had 2 takedowns there, but then the second round, decent striking for Loopy for sure, but gets the trip. Pilastri goes down. Loopy lets her up and then immediately takes her down again. I mean, so it's just like Pilastri had no answers for any of these. Now, granted, I mean, you know, the Loopy's doing a good job at the range that they were at. It wasn't like she had the cage to save her. They were out in open waters for a good amount of that. But I mean, there just has to be better awareness. And if you're going to get taken down as well, it's what I said about somebody last week where I'm like, if you're going to get taken down, you have to have a game plan for what you're going to do when you're down there. And I mean, granted, you've got Loopy on top of you doing a whole lot of work. So it is easier said than done. But at the same time, this is what is going to set you apart in this sport. And this is also why you had 2 rounds going to Loopy early on. And while Pilastri really needed to pick up the pace in the third, which she did. So I think that was a good adjustment. But you're now coming down from a huge deficit. You need a finish. I mean, she was close enough to it a little bit with the striking, but not close enough to it, if you know what I mean.
Loopy is one of these people that this is baby brain Chase that picked Loopy as one of those. Okay, she's got something that's decent. She knows a game plan. She knows how to follow it, and she knows how to pull out. You know, all the get her game plan to the bell and let the judges decide. She knows how to do that. I'm very happy to see that after Janjaroba, who is a specimen, that Loopy is going to do good outside of that. She's going to continue to move forward while Virna is going to go for the belt. Loopy's not even that far out because she just lost to Virna. So just saying,
Well,
I think it's good.
yeah. No, that was my overall note of this fight was that it was a great fight. I thought that it was great that Loopy had to go through some of that heavy adversity in the third round to show that she can and that she can hang with it because she was landing some decent shots of her own too. Like you were saying, you know, I think that the power striking on both sides in that third round was really good. And I think that this shows that Loopy still has a shot at being elite. You know, I think she really does have a chance to be one of the elites of the division. So, this is a course corrector for her. I thought the Pilastri looked a lot better than I was giving her credit for, honestly. I mean, granted, through those first 2 rounds, it wasn't showing as much. But then in that third round, I mean, if she had been fighting that way at least halfway through the second, this could be a very different conversation. So good on Pilastri for that side of things. Work on some things as far as the ground game goes and not getting taken down so much. But for Loopy, I thought that this was a really nice overall performance because you got to see all of her well-roundedness in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, that's what I think is important. Is Loopy, while she does use wrestling as her main facet of the game, you know, on the feet, I said at the beginning, like she needs to be more confident in her striking because she's actually able to land some really clean strikes. And not that I think she's pulling her punches, but if she commits to it more, because obviously she's not as confident in her striking. That's why she's wrestling a lot of these people. She's able to do that more than she's able to, you know, stand on the feet with these girls, and especially with Julia and later in the rounds. But Loopy's able to land really fucking clean shots. So if she's able to just have a more overall confidence in her game, like, okay, I can stand with them. Let me put a little more let me put a little more mustard on the hot dog, like she can really knock somebody. I'm telling you, it might come. She's good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I always thought about her. So I was really glad to see her getting back on track with this fight.
Hell yeah.
All right. On to the next one here. Christian Rodriguez versus Melzikael Costa. I said it right. I'm proud of myself.
I'm just going to tell you.
No, I didn't say it right. Melkizael.
There you go. Okay, well, clip it, chat.
Yeah.
This is actually, I'm very proud of what I know. And actually, I'll even be honest with you. The things that were a factor in this are the things that I didn't even believe in Costa was going to win for, which happens often, which is surprising. That's why I like a lot of these fighters, because they always seem to impress me in different ways. And this one probably isn't a Costa was so much bigger in this performance than Christian Rodriguez. I don't think we actually calculated like how much the size difference was going to be. Like Christian Rodriguez obviously is the big brother in a lot of his matchups, but right here, Costa was putting him down. He was putting him on the mat and showing him some good grappling. And I think it was a great matchup. And Costa, I started to believe in him later in the week. Like, man, maybe he really is going to do it. Like, I've believed in him all this time. I should go ahead and keep believing in what I've known. Stick to my guns. And man, was this a fucking epic pick and unanimous decision. Love my boy Costa. I'm telling you, he's just fighting for more than somebody like Christian Rodriguez is just fighting for a paycheck. Costa is out here trying to be the first champion with vitiligo. And I really respect him for it because he's been saying it ever since he's been here. And that's what he wants to do. And he's got goals. Christian Rodriguez, the only goal he has is to keep his fucking contract. And respect him for it. Everybody loves a fighter. You got to have a job. So I'm just saying, Costa is out here doing really good things. Melly, and listen, on only 2 takedown attempts, that's pretty crazy to see. Like, I feel like he shot a lot more, but my boy's out here doing good work. The striking's still questionable, but he manages because he's a fucking specimen, apparently.
Wow. I think a lot of what was initiated was coming off of Rodriguez with the 6 that he got. But
well, true, yeah. That's right. You're right. He did. Yeah, that is right. Damn, I forgot. Well, he got fucked in this, man. God, Melly is fucking good.
I mean, look, I'm going to be the dissenting voice on this one because I don't agree with this decision personally. I know. This is going to be mind-blowing for some people here, for perhaps. But, I mean, I watched it in the moment. I felt kind of mixed feelings about it in the moment, but I was like, all right. And then I rewatched it, and my final answer stands. So, breaking it down, nice trips from Rodriguez in the first. Nice scrambles from Costa to evade the submission attempts. A lot of clinching, though, so take that for what it is. But second round was more of the same until Costa landed the knee to the head that had Rodriguez hurt momentarily and put Costa in the driver's seat. So 1-1, in my opinion, going into that third round. Personally, I know a lot of people had it to the first 2 going to Costa, but that's how I saw it. I mean, the Costa did have some impressive ground game when he was down there. I'll give him credit for that. Great pace being kept for sure. That's one thing about Costa in general, is that he can keep pace in these fights for sure. Like, this is a dude who's not going to be complacent. He's not accepting a whole hell of a lot. He's really working for scrambles and actively getting them a lot of the time. So give him some credit there.
Let me stop you for a second. Sorry. Okay. He accepted the cage position a lot in this fight. Just, I don't know if that one was too accurate, because he let Rodriguez hold him against there, and he didn't flip the position as much as he should have, especially being the bigger fighter.
Well, there was times where he did reverse it, but yeah, all right, maybe I'll amend that a little bit, but I do think that overall, like, at least when it's on the ground, like, he's not trying to just sit and be laid and preyed upon, but either way, I thought that, and also Rodriguez did get cut on the ground during that second round. So, optically that looks good. But so I had it 1-1 going into the third, with Rodriguez taking round 1 and Costa taking round 2. Apparently, like I said, everybody thought that Costa took those first 2. That is what it is. But round 3, Rodriguez had an established playbook because he sweeps the leg like nobody else, man. This dude does know, feel how you want to feel about the guy, but he can get a trip really, really well. And they're very quick. And a lot of times I think people just aren't anticipating them, even though that's all he does. Like he does it every fight. So I really don't understand why that's not more anticipated, but he kept doing it there. I thought that third round went to him. 2-1 Rodriguez, my final answer.
I think you are making a great point about the trips, and I don't think that's more or less. Christian Rodriguez is great at the trips. Don't get me wrong; he's obviously able to pull it off in many different situations. But I think Costa, at a certain point, he just stopped giving a fuck about it. Like Christian Rodriguez is gonna just trip me and do nothing with it. What's that gonna do? I mean, obviously he's gonna lose in the score. I mean, evidently lost in the scoring because he didn't do anything with it. He was never able to trip me and jump and get some grounded pound, establish position, switch, get transition, go for a none of that. He just tripped me again. I got up, tripped me again. I got up. And, if anything, I was tired anyways. So now I'm just in a position where I'm not really threatened. Okay, cool. I can be tired and just be more tired. I mean, I'm not going to get punched if he's just going to keep tripping me and do nothing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, it's fair, and it also goes back to the same thing that I had said about the first fight, where it's like Rodriguez is not a dude who's out here actively finishing fights often, right? I mean, like, I not to my recollection, I'm sure he has finishes, but I mean, he's not somebody that immediately springs to mind when it's like that's a finisher. So it's like if you let it go to the judges, you get whatever the judges are going to give you. So I can't be too mad at it in that regard. Just calling it how I saw it, but I wasn't judging the fight, so you get what you get. Go out there and finish your fights.
What I think is also to note is that Melly has been in performances where he's been able to be the aggressor in the wrestling, and he's been initiating it. And that's been his thing is, kind of like Aljo, he gets to the backpack and he racks up a lot of control time and he works and he's able to, and then, he's able to shoot a mean gilly too. So knowing that, he's only building his arsenal, and in a matchup like this where he tried to rely on his striking a little more, the grappling obviously was in his favor, but he wasn't the one initiating it. So he let the fight come to him a little more. I think that was a little better on his end. But like you said, he's one of these guys that's going to go to the judges. And if the judging is not going his way that day, I mean, the win streak, it can be ended kind of deal. So Melly, the guillotine will work some days on a dude like Andre Fili, but the days where Christian Rodriguez will take you to a decision, and guys like on the other end of this call will say that you probably lost this fight. I mean, one of these days, that's going to be how the judges feel. So,
yeah, absolutely. I think that that's pretty fair. And I mean, it's really like, I think that one thing that I'm kind of starting to feel about Costa is that like he's another one of these dudes that when it comes to that break off point, we were talking about this a couple episodes ago, where it's like I have the concept of gatekeepers a little bit differently than other people's do, where I'm like there are gatekeepers at multiple levels in this sport, and like he's right in that like higher middle range right now. And when he hits that next dude that's going to be like the next gatekeeper, so to speak, based on how I'm saying it, that he might have more problems there, because I think that there's going to be guys who are going to be able to figure him out pretty easily, and he's going to have to work a lot harder against a person like that than he's having to work in some of these fights.
I do talk about quotas a lot, and I think it's important. I bring up Melly fighting for a lot. He wants to be that first champ with, the vitiligo disorder. And I think that goes a long way, because if I believe he's similar to someone like Brendan Allen. The eye test will not tell you that this is a great fighter, but it's somebody who is winning fights. He is getting finishes. He does have, a lot of submissions in his win streak. But when you look at somebody like DDP, it's like he wanted to be the first South African champ kind of deal. It's like that goes a long way when you make it known that you're going to be the first, and people are getting behind the thought of like, wow, there's going to be a champ out there with vitiligo. So if you go into the judges and they're, Dana White's pulling some strings, there's a quota. I'm not saying it's just him, but if there's some strings being pulled and they want to get some money made and they want to bring in, some viewership somehow, some way, Costa's going to somehow get the way. I don't know. That's all I think.
Not speaking too highly of the Mexican Commission on that one, but fair enough. I did make the joke on the watch along that during the clinch, if he's trying to raise awareness for vitiligo, he certainly was doing it with all the clinching, because you got a good shot of his back with that.
Dude, you talk about the Mexican commission. Now, I'm not doing them justice. Christian Rodriguez reps the Mexican flag for one fight and one fight only in Mexico, and I'm the one not doing justice
I was
on
going
it.
to ask you about that. I was going to ask you because I know that when we talked about Rodriguez last, that he was flying the American flag, and he's got the Mexican flag here now. So you think he was doing a little bit of pandering?
Hey, listen, I'm not the one who brought it up. I'm just the one who delivered the message.
Fair enough. Well, either way, I'm not like, this was not one that I was like super like tearing my hair out. Oh, this is a robbery kind of thing. It was a close enough fight that I wasn't too upset by the decision. But either way, like I said, Costa getting the win, goes on, continue doing your thing. This fight, however, I've got a lot to say about. This is a Teba Gautier versus Jose Daniel Medina. And before you start, Chase, I got a message for this guy that we know. His name is Tosh. This kid was running his mouth about how this was going to be the upset of the card. Medina trains at elevation. Gautier is going to gas out. He's not going to be able to handle it, this and that. And like the fool I bought this snake oil from this kid. And when I came back to this kid and was like, yo, you fucking let me down, he responded by saying, oh, well, I didn't place the bet. That is bitch behavior, young man. This is like, let me tell you something, because he was also saying about how, oh, he's like one of these dudes who's very persuasive. Oh, I got family members that are in careers that need persuasive talking kind of thing, whatever. And so he's like hyping himself up about his persuasion skills. You know what happens when you don't come through on the things that you sell people? That is called scamming. So I will take the licks on this one, but you're a bitch. And you're lucky that I don't get some dude out in Scotland to go pay their nephew a couple bucks to go and take your lunch money. Anyway, that's all I got to say. What'd you think of this fight, Chase?
I think, first off, Jose Medina came out and he looked like George Lopez in the mid fucking 90s or whenever. I know he's not Mexican, but the hairstyle was definitely looking like George Lopez. And I respect that he came out here with a smile on his face, loving the crowd, living his best life. Now, I want to take partial credit for the fail here. This was a big fail.
Massive.
And I never said that Medina originally I never said that he was gonna win. I never said that. I said he's a punching bag. Like, he will get beat up, but he will definitely have a good time doing it. That point still stands. I mean, he had a good time. And I will argue this was an early stoppage. And if you hear me out on that thought, maybe the fight actually was going to go the way that we were expecting, because if he would have got that big flurry and the ref wouldn't have decided to save his fucking friend, I don't know. It's pretty crazy to me, because maybe we would have got it. Jose Medina is one of those dudes that he's gonna get beat up, but you're not gonna be able to beat him up a whole fight. So you have to finish the fight. And I give Ataba Gutier.
I think it's Gautier.
My boy over here from Cameroon does have a skill set that is very, very good for 22, and not being from a region that has a lot of upcoming prospects. So he's actually leading the way. He's paving a lot of different things for the area, because when you come out here and fight like this with a skill set, it's not only gonna make you better when you fight people like this and you get to showcase how good you are, but the fact that you're able to showcase that people with a certain skill set that can be very good can come from these regions. It's only gonna make the region that you come from more advanced. It's only gonna give them more engagement, and I think it's very important for my boy to fucking keep doing shit like this. I mean, he is a specimen. People wanted to compare him to Francis. Maybe that's a little crazy, but he did come out here looking like a specimen, did get a finish in a very crazy way for somebody with his build is more of a power striker, where he's just going to throw slugs, but he was able to get him with a knee, and it's kind of, whoa, he was able to throw it in there. So this was pretty crazy. I I don't think you shouldn't feel any different about this guy. I'm gonna compare somebody else who got a flying knee. It wasn't really a flying knee in this one, but a flying knee finish. You can compare him to like someone like Ikram. He's just got a lot more hype behind him. That's a dude who's real big, real massive for the weight class, especially real stocky. And maybe he's going to be good. He can get a real flashy finish, but if he gets thrown up too high, you could see what happens. But if you keep him low and you keep him grinding with some people like Jose Medina, where he can showcase just what he can do, it's only going to make him better.
Fair. Speaking of Vikram, where the hell has he been? It's been a long
Dead.
time since that guy. Yeah, for real. He's still recovering, I guess.
Jaw surgery.
Yeah, very well could be, but either
Neck
way,
surgery, back. It's the whole spine. That's a whole thing.
yeah, he got crumbled. That is true, but that's a while ago now. I would have thought that he would have been back, but anyway, I digress. Yeah, you were saying that Gautier is a an upcoming guy out of Cameroon. He's following in the footsteps at least of Francis Ngannou, so that is nice to see. Of course, Francis also from Cameroon, so good to see that maybe he started because of Francis, perhaps. I mean, it's like Francis paves the way, and now you've got another fighter out of there. He can pave the way
respect the
for
comparison now. That is the fact. Okay, they're both from Cameroon. I didn't want to be the guy guessing where Francis was. Maybe that's a known fact for you guys, but I don't keep tabs on this guy like that.
Yeah, but I mean that's but there you go. It's like Francis starts it off, and then now we've got this next guy, and then it could be a continuation from that, and then other African nations as well. Perhaps we just had Musasa, who's from the Democratic Republic of Congo as well. So the rise of African MMA is on the way, and PFL is doing a bunch of investment in the region as well. So who knows what's going to actually happen with that, but potentially could be something. Just putting it out there.
We are still waiting for UFC Africa. That's been on the dock for a while now. So
yeah, exactly. We got fucking TKO boxing before we got UFC Africa. Think about that.
Zack Snyder, Dana White exclusive premiere. So
yeah, we got
things to do first, buddy. Before Africa and Spain movie.
Right. Very important. Anyway, as far as this fight goes, this was exactly as expected. Gautier, I mean, when it comes to the Medina side anyway, I mean, like you said, this dude is a tough punching bag who's just going to smile his way through it. That was 1-to-1 exactly what happened. Gautier landed a nice variety of strikes. You were talking about, some of the fact that it was a knee and this kind of stuff. I mean, he was throwing a whole bunch of different stuff. Had a nice variety in the range of what he was doing. So I appreciated that. He was going for uppercuts. He was hooking, he was doing a bunch of cool stuff when it came to how he was putting his hands to use. So Medina took all of that shit flush every single time. This guy has no defense whatsoever. It's I think on the watch long I had said, like, why even keep your hands up if this is how you're going to fight? Like he doesn't have a guard. It's just his hands are kind of floating somewhere in the region of where a guard should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, the uppercuts for Gautier were definitely there. The knee was a shot that did it, which was really, really nice. But it could have been any of them the way that Medina was fighting. So like you said, it was an early stoppage, perhaps, but it was kind of a foregone conclusion. I don't know if he would have been able to get back up to his feet and like continue on after being dropped like that. Maybe. So, we'll never know what could have been. It was slightly early, but like I really don't think that this was going to go any other way with the way that Gautier was throwing his shots. I mean, if he could have kept that up even through the first half of round 2, this would have been the same shit.
And I think it's funny. I say it jokingly, but like, guys, he really had him right where he wanted them. That's the whole game plan. Get knocked down, and then it's like, now I got you. Jose Medina's a sub guy too. People were going for the sub. So I'm just saying it was possible.
All right. Well, doesn't matter now, but
no, it's just fun to think about. Like, man, what if he did do it? And that's what the problem is. Is like when we get these huge favorites that are 7-0 or 6-1, 10-0, 9-1. It's like we don't put enough respect on what the upcoming guys are going to be like, and we pick and choose the guys that we think are going to be it. This one, we maybe didn't. We maybe should have really relied on our gut. Like, okay, he's going to do it. This dude obviously gets punched millions of times. He's never been finished, but like, come on, someday, somehow, like,
don't take advice from literal children is what I can say about this one.
I didn't hate the pick though. I mean, I had a
The
little
logic was there.
faith.
That was my thing too, though, is that just in fairness, the reason that I went with the pick was because the reasoning made sense to me. I didn't just say, oh, this guy said it, so I'm going to go with it. Obviously, it was like he laid out a cogent argument, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like I thought that it was close enough to what could be reality that I went with that.
Yeah, I hear you.
But in hindsight, it's just terrible.
We've seen worse. We've seen people worse than Medina upset people, just like our boy from Cameroon here. That's the thing. And so it wasn't an unlikely story to see him weather the storm and somehow get away, but it was the unlikely outcome. So
sure. And from what commentary told me, Medina is a non-practicing veterinarian, so perhaps it is time for him to get back with the animal kingdom, my dude.
we heard some weird professions here. There was another one later that I think we'll talk about. I can't remember exactly
absolutely.
what
I'm
it was.
definitely I'll remind you for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, so maybe going back into the veterinary practice might be a better suit for Jose Medina. Moving on to another performance that pissed me off. This is Ronaldo Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas. Rodriguez, of course, missed weight by a pound. For whatever reason, the doctors would not let him continue cutting, so he did not. He came in overweight and did not win this fight. What'd you think of it, Chase?
I'll first give a little respect to my boy Kevin Borjas. Now, you did lose to Josh Van, so I did take that with a very heavy hand. Like if Ronaldo Rodriguez is supposed to be that guy, like, and you lose to Josh Van, who's that guy? I mean, similar outcomes going to come, and Ronaldo's going to do something different, which he should have been able to do different, is wrestle, and Kevin Borjas was able to actually do something great on the feet, and of course knocked him twice in the first round. They didn't give him 2 knockdowns, but it was definitely 2. The first one he did a fucking a somersault out of, whatever you want to say. The second one got dropped on his butt. Kevin Borjas really, the striking was there, and honestly, I can see why they matched him up with Josh Van originally. I'm not trying to make a whole Josh Van argument here, but yeah, the striking is actually really good from Borjas. Ronaldo Rodriguez, I think the problem is that I never really took into consideration, like, okay, he's a flyweight. Like, he's actually just the guy that I'm supposed to take into consideration a lot. Like, I'm supposed to watch this dude and know shit. So the fact that I put money on him, and I probably should have known that he's not that fucking good. I should have known, because these are my guys. But I had a little faith. He has the aura. They keep talking about how he wants to be one of the biggest UFC guys. It ain't fucking happening with performances like this, brother. Getting dropped in the first round in your last 2 fights, not a great fucking look. And then you can't do anything with the wrestling. That's your whole thing. So I don't know. I had money on the knockout. I was hoping they were going to trade, which they did early, and I was hoping Ronaldo was going to be the one to land the power strike. Not what happened at all. Like I said, he got fucking rocked, did a somersault, backflip, whatever you want to say he did. Looked like a cartoon, basically. And then he agged him on. Later in the round, drops him again. And how do you win after that? Like, you have to have 2 convincing rounds, and you have to just go be a dog. And the fact that the second round started and we didn't see a change, we didn't see a mood switch, he just continued to do the same thing. Third round started. Yeah, they stood a little more. Didn't do anything different. I don't know.
Well, it was a very nice, composed performance for Borjas, paired with a bunch of ineffective, flashy shit for Rodriguez. He comes in, he did land that double kick, which was cool to see, but what did it accomplish? You know
Hit
what
the
I'm saying?
shoulder anyways.
That's
Like,
what I'm saying. I mean, like, he did a bunch of that. So I mean, like, he landed a couple of clean shots, but just not enough of them. And as you said, I mean, the fact that he got dropped twice, 3 times if you count the knee to the body, that I didn't actually fully drop him, but I mean, you're talking about multiple drops here, on top of all of the other striking that was going on. So I mean, like, he's getting pummeled in that portion of the fight. The second round was a little bit slower than the first because of all of the activity of Borjas in that first round. So like, that could have been your time to like kind of have a little bit of a pick me up here. But third round, they both like it picked up in activity. They both had some good striking going on. And even Lazy Boy did tighten up a little bit, but Borjas is just clean and technically proficient. That was exactly how this all went. It was clean precision versus what Lazy Boy was trying to do. And I mean, you know, whatever aura that he has is just based on him kind of being a little bit of a cartoon character, which it's not going to fly with the way that he actually fights. You can't pair that type of person with this type of fighting style and expect that to equal out to good outcomes. So really, I thought that this was a really nice look for Borjas overall. I mean, this is the exact type of fight that you should fight when this is what you're getting back. So, I mean, granted, I'm just being a little hard on Lazy Boy too, based on the fact that he barely squeaked by in his last fight. So I was already a little annoyed with him, and then now missed weight in this fight and couldn't win this one as well. He is on the shit list for me now based on all of that. But props to Kevin Borjas because this is a really nice, solid performance.
Yeah, I'll put a little respect on him. This is another one where I kind of put my foot in my mouth a little bit before. I actually will take the loss on this one. I never came around to thinking Borjas was going to win. So shout out to him for proving me wrong. This is the one. This is the one where I think I felt really wrong about. So,
and he went to the decision with Van too, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he
was
did.
a 3-round beat. It was like Josh Van like put up historic numbers on him. So.
But still, I mean, at least it was, you know, it didn't get flash knockout or anything like that, you know. So I think that at least shows the toughness there. So I mean, yeah, I think that this was a nice course correct for him. Hopefully, this will be the start of a decent progression for him. And as far as Rodriguez goes, like I'm just going to need to see some better fundamentals and not going for like flashy stuff when you're way behind in a fight. That's a fight IQ issue to me.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's really all I had to say about this one, though. You got anything else?
No, probably not. That dude just I feel bad for putting money on it because he's not a flyweight that I believe is a true prospect.
Yeah, fair. All right, well, let's move on to the fight that we're talking a little bit down on, not down on the fight itself, really, but just we were kind of questioning why it was as high up on the card as it was. But now we found out this is David Martinez versus Simon Oliveira. Martinez, of course, coming off of the Contender Series. And once I saw him, I remembered immediately how he fought on the Contender Series and why this fight was where it was on the card, because he had a really, really good performance on the Contender Series. It was actually a really good fight overall. It was a fight that when, at least during the watch along, when me and Vitch were watching together, we had said like both of the guys deserve to be in the UFC. The guy that he was fighting needs to just come back and fight again and get himself in there too, because it was a nice matchup. That was a good firefight going on there. So Martinez, immediately once I saw who it was, I was like, okay, I remember this guy now, and this dude really pulled it out here. So what'd you think?
This was one of the fights. I'm trying to think of where was the other one? I'm trying to think of what it was, but this one, oh no, sorry, actually, if I could talk about Medina and Gutierrez, and then that fight, they were listed at 6'4" and 6 foot. They both were. One was definitely not what they said they were. They were the same height. When you go to this fight, this was the 5'4" bantamweight that I kept talking about. He didn't look 5'4" at all. If the other dude was 5'7", they were the same height. So I don't know what the numbers were on this one. Why Saman wants to be a 5'4" bantamweight on paper? Like you can get that fixed, dude. Like you're probably about 5'6", like on a good day. So unfortunately, he came in here, and then I don't know if you saw the pictures on Twitter of him on the scale. He had a fucking horrendous cut. He looked like
Oliveira,
a skeleton. Yeah, he looked really, really bad. So the fact that he came out here and got made, he looked at him. God, he got embarrassed. I mean, you get fed up against an upcoming prospect who comes in here with knockout ability and you get knocked out. It's like, is it really embarrassing? No, but like the way it happened is like, dude, talk about dribbling heads off the canvas. Like that's what it is right there. Put him on the ground and put his head in the mat. Like it was good. I like this dude, David Martinez. This is exactly what you do. When I come in here and I ask who the hell you are, and I'm not understanding why you're in your place. Like you don't come out here and get a decision loss. Ronaldo Rodriguez, I'm not talking about you specifically, but you are the one in question for doing said thing. David Martinez come out here, get a finish, first round knockout, just like you were supposed to. Minus 950, that's exactly what you should have been, because like a performance like this, I'll come back and watch again. Like I'm excited.
For sure. Yeah, and I guess one thing to note, since we brought it up about Medina, is that this is the other interesting career here. David Martinez is an orthopedic surgeon, so that is Dr. Martinez to you, Chase. You know,
Yeah.
um, but so really, I mean, another guy who's, it's kind of interesting that they choose the paths that they choose in life, because he's got a great career outside of fighting, but loves to fight, I guess, and obviously pretty goddamn good at it as well. Martinez out the gate with heavy kicks early. I liked the urgency that he came into this fight with. And also, what I remembered from the Contender Series that he had in this fight too was this dude, when he is fighting, looks like he wants to murder his opponent. He has the most like determined face of all time. Like, he is really, like, he looks like he's like in a video game, or like he's an action hero or something, like that, like, he's like, almost looks like he's growling throughout the entire fight. So definitely the determination was there, and the start was good. He's very fast and definitely powerful. The finishing sequence late in round 1 was a thing of beauty as well. I mean, counter right lands, stuns Oliveira, then the knee to the head right up the middle in the tie clinch. Fantastic work. Oliveira just looked lost in this fight.
I think also this is the fight where they said Martinez, his sister, is in the UFC.
She is, yes, Melissa. Melissa, I want to say it's Melissa Martinez, I believe.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Well, so this was a good performance by him. I mean, like you said, got a fucking career outside of this that is probably, not probably, way more profitable than this could ever be. But this is just what this sport is all about. If you want to be a fighter, it's gonna bring you in. And David Martinez is just one of those dudes where fighting is what he wants to do, and he may not make a world-ending amount of money on it, but like the fact that he knows he can come out here and drop somebody in the first round of the most credited mixed martial arts promotion in the game, like, I mean, what can you add? Like, he can put you in the hospital and then get you out the hospital. Like,
exactly. Yep. Yes, indeed. He can he can put you in there and then stitch you right up. So good on him. Yeah. I mean, and look, if this is what he really wants to do, then that's fine too.
we're 2 for 2 on doctors coming into the UFC and knocking people out. I know the road to the UFC doesn't necessarily count, but she was on a
No,
UFC
well,
card.
and I have a note about that as well. That was actually a funny moment on commentary when Lorisenko referenced the head kick knockout of Shi Ming, aka Dr. Sleep, as we have dubbed her here on last week's fights. And DC had no idea who she was talking about. He was he was like, "Oh, she got a knockout. Where'd she do that?" Senko was like, "In the UFC."
Yeah.
Like, it was fucking funny. DC, that's what Dominic Cruz was talking about, DC, when it comes to doing your homework, but I digress. Anyway, but doctors getting the job done. How about it? Yeah, we had Shi Ming, and now we have David Martinez as well. So the new meta, doctors turned fighters.
Well, it's also just going down the old road of just letting you know that anybody and anyone can do this sport. Like, this is unlike any other sport in the world where, like, if you spent your entire career, I know he's obviously a young guy, but like, if you spent your entire life dedicated to something, you're never going to be in the NBA if you don't do it at fucking, a young age or whatever. You're not going to be in the NFL if you ain't got the right genetics for it. The UFC, you can have all different types of genetics and you can be successful as long as you game plan right and you use your abilities to the best of whatever you can. And I think David Martinez is a perfect example of it. It's just, drop whatever you're doing and let the cage call you.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic point. Anyone from the garbage man to the the highest of the high in society can do this. If you got two hands in the will to fight, you can be in there. In fact, the future president of Ireland was once a cage fighter. So how about that? Shout out to Connor and his political aspirations, but that's for a different video. Anyway, nice win for Martinez over here. Really nice way to make your entry into the big show here and onto the main stage. I think this guy's got some decent future ahead of him with the way that he fights. I mean, if he comes out with the same intensity and can weather adversity, which he did on the Contender Series, now that does not always translate, as we very well know. We're gonna have to see him up against a person who's going to give him a little bit more of a fight here, because Oliveira was not doing that in the slightest. As I said, I thought he looked very lost in this fight throughout the entirety of it. But if Martinez is able to weather the storm, if he's getting some heavy shots back, then we might see some big things out of him.
Hell yeah.
All right. Speaking of rising stars over here, Raul Rosas Jr. fought Vince Morales. You think the organization likes Raul Rosas? He got a whole Chi Wee Wee's promo package coming into this fight. Whole video package on the Chi Wee Wee catchphrase.
I actually, now that you bring it up, I want to bring up an even weirder promo package that they had. Did you see, and this is what it was, it was part 2 of the Sean Brady and Leon Edwards.
I said the same thing during the watch along. I'm like, why are we seeing a Sean Brady promo from, wasn't that for last week? Oh no, it's part 2 of an ongoing series, I guess. On this.
Yeah, it's like, why didn't you release this on the way to their fight? Like this, did you forget to drop? It's like, oh shit, drop it now. Just fucking put it on the promo. Who cares?
UFC is getting into long form content, brother.
Yeah, that was very, very weird to see. But okay, the Chihuahuas one.
Chi-wee-wee.
I feel like I don't remember it because I might have been on my phone too, so I might have been looking up thinking I'm watching like a TikTok or something. Like that might have been something.
Well, in part it was like it started off with him talking about it, and then it would cut to like music video footage at one point. I guess somebody made a song about with the Chi Wee Wee thing in it now, so it's its own. It's perpetuating. We use it on the watch alongs as our notification sound effect for when we get new followers and stuff. So if you are watching out there and want to hang out with us during a UFC event, you follow the stream, you will get a Chi Wee Wee.
I really enjoy the thought that this dude's 20 years old and he's being able to think of ways to market himself to make sure that he's going to have the generational wealth to support not just himself. So Raul Rosas Jr. coming in here with a lot of hype, you know, the ability to change a lot of things for a lot of people if he becomes what people are expecting him to be. Performances like this against stylistic matchups like this are exactly what he needs to have for the next couple years. I'm not saying he's championship level yet, but if you keep giving him people that are going to throw different things at the wall and he's able to keep adapting, I think Raul Rosas Jr. is on his way to being something crazy. And I want to go ahead and give a shout out to my boy Vince Morales. I'm very proud of me having the big brain, man. I really like Vince Morales. Watching him against Elijah Smith, I realized like this dude, he's got it. Like he's just knows what he's got and he knows how to utilize his skill set. And honestly, a skill set that he has is an intangible thing. It's he knows how to control the momentum, because a lot of people would argue that he won this fight. Like if you go into the Discord, you know, talking about the scoring, I mean, you know, it wasn't really. So anyway, back and forth, if you want to call it. Vince Morales. Go ahead. No,
Well, and I just wanted to reiterate that point that I had that in the notes, that a lot of people have a very less than favorable opinion about Raul Rosas in this fight. I was kind of surprised by it personally, but I guess people are making a case, you know, because I've seen that narrative going around now. Oh, this guy is they think that this is the hot next thing. He didn't do hardly anything. They were showing that image of Morales when he had him in the choke. That was like being kind of memed a little bit or whatever. So I was just kind of backing you up on that that a lot of people were less than kind to Raul Rosas with this performance.
And so what I think is also great to know is like going into this is another one that I'm not, I didn't think that Vince Morales was going to be a winner, but I thought exactly what he was going to be able to do. And that's to give Raul Rosas Jr. something that he's seen something similar with a Christian Rodriguez, who's a little crafty, whatever you want to say. Vince Morales, though, what he was able to offer Rosas Jr. is the ability to get in when the grappling is going for Raul Rosas Jr. The grappling's in his favor, and he's still able to pull off a sequence that's going to get Raul in some sort of danger. So Raul has always been, except his one loss, has always been able to control people and just use his wrestling to his advantage. In this one, he's doing the same thing, but Vince Morales actually has the ability to make it interesting on his back. And I think once you watch towards the end, when he's able to pull off these interesting subs, which I've credited before, this dude must be an elite sub artist for getting it at least close with these crazy subs. Like you saw earlier with Gabriel Miranda, that's a crazy sub. He wasn't even close. Vince Morales, people want to talk about, he wasn't cutting off the artery. He wasn't, gonna choke him out. He had him stuck there for a second though. I mean, he wasn't getting out. So whatever. And then if you want to talk about the plot or the go-go plot or whatever he was trying to do again, or the necktie, whatever. Yeah, whatever the fuck he was trying to do. Again, he tries to pull this off, and it wasn't getting there but he was at least giving Raul something to fight out of, especially because Raul's in his dominant position on top. I mean, it was good. I think this was a good matchup for Raul to learn from.
Well, and going back to the way that you defined wrestle fucking, I mean, I would say that Raul Rosas has a goddamn good handle on that, because this dude can definitely smother at this young age, which is pretty impressive. He had a really dominant first round, but Vince did reverse at the end of that round. So, I mean, good on him for that. Like you said, it kept it interesting for sure. I thought that same criticisms and praises of Morales stand with this fight as what we had said about him in the past. So definitely tracking. Pretty dominant second round for Raul as well. He just gets a hold of you and does not let go until the horn sounds, which, again, at this age, very impressive. And with the level of competition that he's facing, he's constantly learning. He's constantly getting better. He was a little down on himself about this performance. I was like, I thought that this was pretty okay. I didn't really see anything sticking out to me that was super wrong with it, especially compared to his last fight, which we were a little bit more harsh with him on. I thought he made a couple of adjustments that made him look a lot better. The cardio was certainly there. Then the one time in the third round where Vince really had his moment, Raul was able to navigate the position, and that was when I knew that it was really over for Vince, because at the first round, after the first round ended on the watch line, you see me be like, I have faith that Vince can turn this around. He was, he ended the round on top. This is where he can get again, he bring himself back to that position. But once he didn't have the submission locked in the third round, I was like, okay, this is where it's going to end, except he did have the necktie at the very end of the round, but by then it was too late. So I guess what I would say about Morales is that he does have a unique submission skill set, but he needs to enact his game plan much quicker and take advantage of the small motions when he has them, especially against someone like this, because when you're in those situations where it's an extended grappling exchange, you only have so much time to start getting yourself towards where you want to end it. And if you're already at like the 45-second mark and you're just now starting to get yourself into the position that's going to be right to finish the fight, the horn's going to sound and you're not going to be able to get to what you want. So
yeah, I hear that. Yeah, I think this was, I don't know. Looking at the striking numbers, I mean, I do agree there wasn't a lot going on in the striking, but I don't remember this being a very boring matchup. And I
no,
credit
it was very active both ways.
exactly. And that's what I was going to say. I credit a lot of it to Vince Morales. I mean, it does take two to tango. Raul's going to do his thing when it comes to wrestle fucking, of course. Like, he's just able to manhandle people, but Vince was able to keep it interesting by not letting that be the end all be all for the matchup. There was different outcomes coming. Vince Morales, maybe it could have got a sub. Maybe he was going to actually reverse the position and get up. Obviously didn't do that for 9 minutes and 30 seconds. But of that 9 minutes and 30 seconds, I never felt like we're laying here a little too long and there's nothing going on. Like, it's kind of interesting the way that the striking numbers look, because if 26 strikes were landed over 9 minutes and 30 seconds of control time, like, you would think standing up has to happen, but it didn't feel like that. So that's weird that the numbers ended up like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, striking was definitely not the central focus of this match, and it was a very exciting match regardless. So I think credit goes to both of them. I really would hate to see Morales get cut after this. It's kind of at that point where he's probably going to. They might give him one more chance. But he really, really, really needs to win his next fight, because that's going to definitely be the end point for him, especially being his second stint in the organization. That was another thing coming into this fight that kind of gave me a little bit more hope for him. I was like, he knows that his back is against the wall at this point. He's got to really pull something out here. So maybe not against a surging prospect, depending on who they're going to match him up with. We'll see. But either way, it's unfortunate for someone like Morales to get cut after a performance like this, because he really did hold his own. Same with Elijah Smith. It's just now the options are starting to dry up for him. So, he's got to make an adjustment really fast now if he's going to stick around.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, like I said, I never got to see this dude originally. I probably wouldn't have been the biggest fan. Obviously, he got removed from the UFC before, but in his second stint, the 2 fights that I've seen from this dude, I have been a very big fan. So I understand if he's not going to be able to last in the company after so many losses, but it is going to be unfortunate because he does bring an entertaining aspect to a losing experience.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. So we'll see what happens with him, but Raul Rosas continues on now, 11-1. I mean, Chihuahua, we got to see what his next matchup's going to look like, because they're really trying to, he's still on track to potentially be the youngest champion in the sport if things keep going his way. So we'll see what the organization does.
I don't know if you saw the note. I don't know if you probably knew this. Alexa Grasso was the first Mexican woman to win a fight in the UFC.
I did not see that, but that does not surprise me all that much, I guess. I guess nowadays it's more Mexican female representation, but still, women's MMA is still young comparatively, so it's
Yeah,
everything's got to catch up for the ladies a little bit, but good to see.
true.
Moving on, we had Edgar Chairez versus CJ Vergara. Chase called it on this one for sure. You could get your flowers, my man.
This is my fucking guy. And I can understand why people wouldn't understand, because they look at the record and they see a dude who's at the time barely over 5, wasn't even over 500, 11-6 coming into this. But if you watch this dude fight, he is the type of dude that never fucking stops. Like, he will get hit, and he's actually, give a good comparison. The last performance is from Edgar Chairez. When he gets hit and he's in trouble, what does he do? Stand his ground and fire back, and actually almost potentially end Josh Van's career with a fucking spinning elbow. CJ Vergara in his last matchup gets hit, runs across the fucking cage from Tamirov, gets chased down, dropped, gets up, runs again, gets chased down, dropped, finish fight. That's just all I'm going off of. You have a dude who's a fighter. You have a dude who's a runner. That's all I'm saying. So when you come into this fight and you hear Larasenko talk about before the card, Edgar Chairez has been saying that he wants to come into Mexico. He wants to win like a Mexican and fight like a Mexican. This dude came out here. That's why I was going heavy on the KO, because I figured Mexican true, we're going to go knock this dude's head off. And that's exactly what he did. He walked in there, knocked his fucking head off, put him on the mat, let him up, walked him down like a fucking G, put his hands up. Is that all you have? Is there nothing more you need from me? Put him on the mat again, and felt sorry for bro. Felt really sorry for him, got on the ground, choked him out. It was so easy. This was one of the easiest performances for Edgar Chairez. I'm so confident in this dude being a flyweight, because he's such a unique talent. And for him to actually be just who he is very important, because if he stays doing stuff like this, being very unpredictable, being the dude that'll fuck up your KO with a submission, is just the type of dude that you want to see go far, because he will fuck up a lot of shit. If he can fuck up the good things, the bad things, he's gonna fuck up really, really good. It's, dude, telling you, Edgar Chairez is just a fucking dog. And we'll get into his story after. I'll let you go into yours.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, I echoing all of your sentiments, really. I mean, I thought that this was fantastic work by Chairez. He was going after it early, which I loved. The only thing I take a little bit of exception with was after he landed the left hook on Vergara, which had him doing the chicken dance. Then Chairez was showboating, doing the like you said, is that all you got? It's like, bro, go finish your fight, brother. Don't, how I am with that kind of stuff. I don't really like the showboating. There's plenty of time to gloat once the fight is concluded, but whatever, it didn't even matter, because Chairez right after, because I think he thought that it was going to be a walk-off. So, I think that was kind of maybe where the mentality was, but he snapped to pretty quickly, kept right on the hunt, which wasn't super hard because Vergara was pretty hurt at that point, but kept on it. Left swipe drops Vergara. RNC was a face crank, really, more so, but it did the trick just fine. Fantastic work. The one note that I did have and kept saying on the watch along was that I think anybody who had him by knockout was pretty upset by that, but it is what it is. The job got done one way or another. Bet the money line. But yeah, I mean, overall, this was really, really nice work for Shirez. I thought that it was couldn't have been more poetic with him doing it in front of the Mexican crowd exactly as he wanted to do it. Laid it out, executed the plan flawlessly. I got nothing but praise for the guy. I really I enjoy watching him fight. I've seen him, a couple of his fights now, and every time that I can remember, at least, it's never been like, why is this guy here? He's always been a dude, even in defeat, that has been really solid. So it's good to see him getting his wins, and especially in an emphatic fashion like that.
I think you bring up a good point. I mean, you're talking about that, he's been a dude that performs, and anytime in his loss, it's something decent. So the fact that Joe Pyfer pulls out and this fight goes from the prelims, fourth fight on the card, I believe it was, all the way to the main card, 3 fights under the main fight. That should tell you that somebody was on to something. They said this guy right here is a perfect fill-in because he can do exactly what we're expecting Joe Pyfer to do. Walk in, drop him, choke him out. Walk in, drop him, beat him to death. Whatever you want to say. Edgar Chavez can do just that. And of course, he's native to Mexico. Why wouldn't you want this spot here? This is perfect for him, and he did exactly what he needed to. Broke down into tears after the fight. He wanted to tell his story about how, I think it was his grandfather. I think that's what it was. His grandfather sold his truck so he could pay for his surgery, just so he can continue his MMA career. I don't know if it was during the UFC or whatever it was. I don't know the exact story. But man, shit like that, a story, a killer, a dude who's just willing to come out here and like, this is just what he does. Like, the story tells it all. Like, that's what was important to him. His grandfather understood. Shout out to him. Rest in peace. He's not with us anymore, as Edgar laid out. But man, did he come out here and he do the right thing, because we got a fucking stone cold killer on our hand, and this dude is going to be something good. Already is.
Oh yeah, most definitely, absolutely. And yeah, when it comes to his story, it was obviously very touching, and he was extremely emotional. He was crying pretty much from the second the fight ended up and through his octagon interview. So this was obviously very deeply personal to him and all that. And I thought that this was a very nice human display in the sport. And as I always say, MMA is a microcosm of every aspect of humanity, from the funny to the sad and everything in between. The comedy and tragedy of life is all represented in MMA. So I thought that this was a really nice, positive emotional element over here. He was doing it for his late grandfather, and did it in a fashion like that. So it's one of those in a roundabout way, a feel good moment, I would say.
And I want to make a bridge to a conversation that I'm not sure, I want to hear your take on, so like Jalen Turner, when he came out and he was talking about the Bobby Green finish, how he took a little backlash from the people in his life, like that led to his early retirement. It's like, people kind of felt like he was doing a little too much or whatever. So when you come out here like Edgar Chavez and you put a dude in the mat and you choke him out, and it's it's dedicated to somebody, is it any different? Or do you think people are going to be like, man, you kind of fucked him up a little bit? Like, you didn't, you could have done something else for, in honor. You didn't have to go kill a man, kind of deal, I don't know.
I mean, this is what you do. This is the sport. So
True.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, if he was a golfer and hit a hole in one or something and did the same, dedicated it the same way, this is what the path in life that you chose. I mean, the people that you surround yourself with in your life that support you and that you love, theoretically at least, are all there for you to do that thing that you do so well. And, it's an unfortunate sport in that regard, because there does have to be a victim involved, but this is the nature of the beast. I mean, that's, and then Jalen Turner is actually an interesting example of that, because I mean, we're talking about, one time where he has gets himself, obviously pummeled really badly by Bobby Green. And then, with
pummeled Bobby Green.
Well, yes. Right. So yes, sorry.
Yes.
Pummels Bobby Green. And then in his next fight gets taken out very quickly by Ignacio Bahamondes. He felt both sides of the highs and the lows of the sport. So he could have easily been in the reverse of both of those situations. You know what I mean? So it happens to everybody, one way or another. One day you're up, one day you're down. this one was Shirez's night, so he deserves to feel exactly how he feels about it. That's it.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I don't know. That was just the one thing that came to my mind. It's like it's an interesting sport in that regard. It's like this is really just the buildup of emotions and a lot of people that you're actually trying to take care of. Like this is just a very pure way of supporting the family. And a lot of these fighters, you do get that vibe from. It's like they really do fight because they're trying to provide for their little circle that they got, kind of deal. And Edgar Chavez, man, one of my favorite Mexican fighters, probably my favorite Mexican fighter. I'm not gonna lie, like this dude, the point stands of why you judge people by what you see. Because when you see him perform, there's no way you watch him come into his next fight and think this dude is not ready to kill a man. Regarding the circumstances that he came in with, that probably made him a little better. Whatever the case may be, maybe he was a little more motivated. But I've always seen that. I've always seen that killer in the eye. So that don't go away, And I think Chavez is just he's an amazing fighter. Like I can't give any more praise to this dude.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully this will be a starting point or a continuation that will go on further to keep him propelled, because not everybody's going to be CJ Vergara, but for right now, at least, we'll see what his next matchup looks like, and if he can do something similar. As far as Vergara goes, though, I mean, at this point, 2 bad knockouts now. I would think that he's got to be looking at the chopping block at some point.
Yeah, I would say so too, but I actually want to go touch back on the point with Chavez is what's next. I unfortunately, what I see for his career, just with his type of style and the type of dude he is, I see him being kind of a guy that they feed to the really good people just to see what they're made of. In his debut matchup, he fought Tyra, and obviously we didn't know what Tatsuro was going to be, but like they kind of had a sense where we need kind of a clean fighter versus the rugged, dirty boxer kind of guy. And Shirez is always going to bring that dirtiness to the fight. So when you have somebody who's just he's very technically gifted and he does everything very textbook. Shirez is going to be the dude that's going to have to go try to mess some stuff up. And I don't think that's going to lead to a path to greatness. And I don't think a belt is unfortunately going to come in a future for him. I could be wrong. I would love to be wrong. But he's that type of dude that is going to take very, very tough competition. CJ Vergara, I don't believe was one of them, but this was just to show you what he can do in front of the Mexican crowd. I put money he'll be back in Guadalajara, and he will come out and do something good against a very good opponent.
Yeah, I'm down with it. I hope that is the case. I mean, we'll see how far he can rise, but for right now, just enjoy watching the fights, and we'll see what the next one looks like.
Yeah. And now that I say him on Guadalajara, it makes sense. He was last on the Sphere, so.
Sure. Yeah, keep rolling him out for every Mexican-themed card for the foreseeable future.
Why not? I mean,
yeah,
if
not,
people aren't going to be able to get acclimated and make a big deal about it and cry that it's the whole fucking country's fault that they shit their fucking pants, I mean, maybe Edgar Chavez is exactly who you need to take their fucking spot on the card.
Couldn't have said it better myself. All right. Well, moving on to the now co-main event of this whole thing here, right? Because Piper was supposed to be. This was always co-main, wasn't it? Yeah, my bad. So yeah, the co-main event of this card was Drew Dober versus Manuel Torres. This was a hard one to watch. You want to talk about the whole highs and lows of this sport as far as the people that you want to root for and feeling bad for people. This certainly was not an easy viewing experience as a fan of Drew Dober.
I want to actually start. One, I will say good win by Manuel Torres. But two, I want to say that the most glaring thing that I saw in this fight was how much he overextends on his 1-2. And that's his money shot, right? That's exactly what he loves, and that he's very good at it. But when he doesn't land it, he's throwing he's walking forward. He's not able to stand his ground and just throw a quick whatever you want to say. He's not able to just throw straight standing still. He's always got to lunge forward with him. And I think that's what's going to be. I mean, it already was. Bahamundez was able to just counter, change angle, and just pop him twice, same time. So anyway, that's the only thing that I take away from Torres, because this wasn't a long fight. They stood there for a second. The height difference was very glaring. I said, oh, I forgot that Drew Dober is like kind of a troll kind of deal. And Unfortunately, overextending on the 1-2 was not his downfall this time because he caught Drew Dober. I don't think it was the 1-2 exactly that caught him, but it was something that caught Drew Dober, dropped him to his face. And Drew Dober, I don't know what the fuck he was trying to do. He just decided to just kiss his
Oh,
foot
he
for
was just gone. He was already gone by that point.
no. I don't think he was still there when he grabbed his foot. He got pounded in the side of the head, and like you see his hands kind of like they like rest down. Like at first he's got a little lock, and then they rest down, and he's out. But then they keep letting it happen. What's really crazy, and this is probably a testament to how like good Drew Dober's like chin is really, is because he got up and he was ready to go. And what was crazy to me is that, so you see, I think it was Mike Beltran. Mike Beltran waves it off, right? He lets Drew Dober get up, lets Drew Dober puts his hands up, start walking towards Manuel Torres, and then he walks over and he calls it, like he actually officially calls it off. Like I don't know what was going on there, but he definitely called it off twice, and he didn't stop Drew Dober immediately. Like, hey, the fight's over. Like he let him like get in
Yeah,
his stance and walk away a little bit. So
I would think that probably Beltran didn't realize what Dober was on, or how bad it was for Dober. But I mean, I don't know, man. I think that Dober was pretty out off of it was
before he hit the ground. You think he was? I mean, obviously he got stunned and he was on his way to the ground. Yes,
well,
but I think it was more of a shot to his feet than of like he fell face first down dead kind of
yeah,
deal.
no, I mean that's what it was. Is that like I think he was already in a dazed state, and then all of the shots to the side of the head definitely finished the deal. But it's like it's like if you're starting to see white, then like you see a little bit through, and then it just goes full white thereafter.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? That's kind of how I looked at it anyway. But yeah, it was the 1-2. It was the second of the 1-2. It was the
yeah.
first did not land, but the second one definitely did. And you're exactly right about him reaching for it though, because that was the note. Is that it's like he put everything into the shot almost by necessity because of how far he shot the shot from. I mean, it was a very long, rangy shot that landed, and that's why the first one of the 1-2 did not land, was because it was just a hair out of range. But the second one landed flush. Dober was out on the astral plane, and I can't fault Beltran for the late stoppage, really, because Dober was going for the leg off of instinct. I think immediately. That's I think really what it was that he knew he was hurt, so I'm gonna shoot, and then all of those unanswered shots turned out to be what they were thereafter. But Sanko counted 15 unanswered shots. It probably was pretty close to that, if not dead on. So, yeah, Dober coming to and thinking that the fight was still on. That was kind of it was hard to see, man. Drew Dober is like one of the nice guys of this sport, so it always really hurts to see him getting laid out like that. But I mean, it was Torres's night, and probably at this point Dober might want to start thinking about hanging him up.
No, I think he even said before this, like, dude, fuck getting knocked out. Like, I'm ready to fucking go. Like, whatever you want to say. Like, and he's that type of Chad. But I would like to also mention that a beautiful moment in the sport, it happens in the worst moments. And hear me out. Drew Dober is getting slammed on the side of his head. You have you have former fighters, you have commentators, you have the crowd members, you have analysts all screaming, please stop the fight, stop, 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 stop. And the ref himself is just like it's actually really fucking insane. Like I don't know, I can't think of a better moment where everybody is on the same page other than a late stoppage, but then the fucking ref is just, you know, I love to think of the clip of Dana White talking about. He's like, I don't know if he's doing his fucking grocery list, if he's forgetting if he's thinking about what he's gonna record on TiVo later. Like, it's so fucking true. Like the scent of beer and cigarettes was rancid in this fucking ring right here. Holy shit, man! This one is so
Ah,
crazy.
I think you're
No, it is funny though.
I know, fair enough, fair enough. Um, I I will. We all know it was a late stop. Obviously, that is true now. I think that it was starting off at least. I want to, and I'm really giving Beltran a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, because Beltran has had a couple of questionable moments lately. Like the more that they use Mike Beltran, the more that he is, but that's really the nature of the beast, right? The more that you're in there, the more that things are going to happen. But with this one, the angle that he was at initially, I think it looked a little bit more it was more conceivable that Dober was actually doing something. But then by the time because he adjusted himself, he like moved around, like he was in motion while the shots were happening. So it's like I could give him a little bit of leeway on that, but I think I might even be being a little bit generous, for him. Refereeing's hard, man. It's split second stuff. I understand all of that. This was definitely late, and Drew Dober did take a lot more damage than he needed to, obviously, considering that he still thought he was fighting by the time that he was on his feet.
It's not even the fact that he still thought he was fighting and, he got up and he's ready to go. It's like everybody's like stopping. He's like, what are you doing? Like, what in the world? Like, what happened? Like, you guys stopped it? Like, that's the crazy question is you stopped it. It's like you're looking at the doctor right now. If you like, that's how you know. And I'm not trying to blame Drew Dober on that aspect. It's like as an audience member, that's how you know it should have been stopped. It's like when he's questioning, why did you stop it? It's like, buddy, that's why it was stopped.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's why it was scary. I mean, it's a scary
yeah.
knockout for that exact reason. I always go back to Wonder Boy talking about getting knocked out, and how he described it, and that's basically a similar situation. Is that you get knocked out, you're for however long that you are not with us, you come back to, and it's just where am I, what happened kind of thing. So yeah, unfortunate for Dober, but I mean, whether or not, like you said, he is Chadley in that way. Like he probably is going to fight until they forcibly remove him from the roster, but for his own benefit, at some point, he might want to think of slowing down a little bit because, we've just seen him get pummeled a couple of times now. I mean, he's just coming off of the terrible beating that he got at the hands of John Silva. And
Lord,
then now
John Silva.
Pardon me. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, that was a really harsh one. Not only did he get thoroughly thrashed in that fight, but he also got cut really bad as well. So it's like scar tissue forming. The chin only has so much damage that it can accrue over time and still be as hold up and effective and all that. I for his own sake, would like to see Drew Dober maybe starting to slow down just a little bit.
If that's the case, if it's not, I can tell you, Drew Dober, I'd be very excited to see you fight again, brother. If you think this was unwarranted and you're ready to go, like, bro, my head's fine. Like that, I'm cool. Like I even asked them why they stopped it. Like, whatever. If that's the case, line them back up. Let's get you against another one. I'm ready.
Well, at this point, I mean, based on the way that everybody's getting knocked out, maybe the rematch with Bobby Green makes sense. Honestly, I mean,
he'd kill him. He'd kill him.
I mean, perhaps. I mean, he did a pretty good job. Was that one where it was the head clash situation? There was something weird in that fight. I think that there was a clash of heads or something that led into the finishing sequence. There was something that was a little bit off about how that fight ended. So maybe that one makes sense now. The two of them, both guys who have been knocked out a whole bunch of times, both dudes who just won't hang it up no matter how much they probably should. So
nice. I like it.
I think it makes sense. All right. And to close this thing out, the main event of the evening was Brandon Moreno versus Steve Erceg. I want to start this one off with a quote from Steve Erceg during one of the hype promos that they were running, because they ran a whole bunch of them considering how many knockouts we got. But Steve Erceg said, "The biggest mistake that Moreno can make is thinking that pressure and volume is going to be enough in this fight." How ironic.
I think it's really funny because I thought the same thing. It's like, well, Steve, what are you planning to do to win there? Like, if you're not going to advance any pressure, if you're not, anyway, the fight itself.
Yeah.
Steve Erceg did not prove anyone wrong with anything. And I think that, and I'm going to go ahead and make a bold claim, that is a testament to his coaching. That is the team's fault for not preparing him with a game plan to win this fight. Not one round do I think he won. If you want to give him one of them,
wow,
cool. I don't think he won a single one, and I'm a hater. But Steve Erceg, in no round did he have the game plan that was going to steal it. Like that was like, okay, here we go. Like now we've turned it up. We won the round. There was never a moment that he changed what he was doing. The coaching never said, okay, go to phase 2. Like, turn it up, do something. He played the same game plan that was going to lose him the fight. Same thing that happened in the Pantoja fight. He did the same thing that was going to lose him the fight because he wasn't the aggressor. He was just playing Moreno. He was playing Moreno's game, but trying to be better at it. And he's not initiating his own game plan where he's able to be better than anybody. Like he's mid-range, like he's a mid-level guy that can do everything just good enough to get a decision against the top guys. Like it's if he's not able to get past the top guys right now, like he's literally faced all of them. I mean, the skill set is just, and I'm not okay. Skill set, I want to talk about that too, but I think the coaching mainly here is what lost him the fight. The skill set itself is very well rounded. Like he can do stuff. Like even in the boxing, he can be slick, but he's not ever the one to initiate it. He's always the counter puncher. He's always the one defending takedowns. He's always the one, having to scramble out of positions because he's getting in those positions. And it's never, I don't know. I just don't think the coaching was there for him. And I feel like the same thing happened in the Pantoja fight. The game plan never adapted to winning. It was like, okay, now we know what he's got. Now let's do what we got. It was always, okay, let's just see what he's got. Now figure out how to win. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a tricky one there because I think you're making good points. It's tough for him because his father is his coach. So, I mean, that's, one of those situations where that's tough.
You can see why that would be an issue. I'm just saying. So,
yeah. Yeah. Well, I can agree with you on a lot of your points. I do think that the one that makes the most sense to me was that you're saying that he was playing Moreno's game, but trying to be better at it, but not achieving that. I think that is 100% accurate. However, on the other side of the coin for this, I want to bring up the point that this, to me, was not the greatest performance by Brandon Moreno.
And that says something for Steve Erceg.
Right. Definitely. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Say one to say the other for sure. This was a much more plotting, methodical fight than I expected it to be in general.
Mm-hmm.
Moreno definitely won it, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more definitiveness in the win as far as like what I saw, because you're saying that Erceg didn't win a round. I actually had it going. I had it 2-2 going into the fifth. I gave Erceg 2 of those rounds. And again, that says something based on the way that all of this was going, because I thought that toward it, like as the fight progressed, like Steve was starting to adapt in some aspects, but not enough. And then the fact that he was consistently backing off so much, he was on the back foot for so much of this fight. It was very, very apparent. And DC on the commentary made a good point, is that like it was close in a lot of times because they were trading at a lot of this fight. I mean, the entire fight was on the feet, save for one brief takedown attempt by Moreno that didn't actually go down. So there was a lot of like trading and stuff, but Erceg did not have the like holy shit moments. You know what I mean? He didn't have those like ooh moments. And honestly, Moreno didn't have that many of them either, which is why I was like, I thought that this was not the top level Moreno, definitely not the Moreno that we saw in the Albazi fight. I thought that this was just okay across the board. So Moreno definitely won this fight. I had Steve taking the second and third rounds personally, based on all of what I had seen throughout everything. I thought Moreno did really good in the first round. Steve started to figure it out a little bit. Moreno picked it up and made it more definitive towards the end. But I think it could have been a better win.
Yeah, I do agree. Moreno did not look as good as he did against Amir, and that was a letdown because that was a great performance. It wasn't a terrible performance that we saw from Moreno, but it was a better matchup for him to he had to show that he was still in the game on this one. Amir was just like a warm-up. It's like, okay, now we're just gonna box this dude's head off, and he ain't gonna do nothing. Now we have a matchup where a dude's actually gonna stand his ground. At times, that's what Steve lacked, is being able to stand his ground. Like you said, he was running the entire time on the back foot. If he was able to just have more confidence in his striking, he could have stood there and traded with Moreno a little more. I know Moreno's a hard puzzle to crack because he's kind of a little unorthodox. But the times that he was able, like there was a time, I remember even thinking like Steve Erceg has good reads, but he just doesn't have enough to make them. Like he sees them And like, so there was a time where Moreno threw his jab out, and you see Steve, you know, he dips back and dips up, and he just doesn't unload the right hand. And it's like, you're in the third, fourth round now, dude. Like, this is when you got to be pulling the trigger. It's like, let it all out there. Have confidence that you can throw this shot. He's not going to get his head out the way. And even if he does, you're going to take whatever he's able to give back. Like, I don't know, the lack of confidence that I feel Steve is, you know, when he went up to Pantoja, it's like, okay, maybe Steve can actually do it. Lose the KKF, and now it's like, okay, something is just holding him back. I think, I don't know. Maybe at once it was there, but at once it was just a split decision loss to Pantoja. So other than that, what he's showcasing is just mid-level skill for the division, and that's unfortunate because, like I said, he's lost to the top dudes right now, and what's left for him until they fucking leave. I mean, it is flyweight; they'll give as many rematches as they need, so hopefully he'll stick around. But I mean, I don't know; it's crazy.
Yeah, no, I think you make a very good point about Steve with the reads, because you're right. Moreno's style is very fluid, and that I think is a hard puzzle to solve a lot of the time. You know, he's constantly rolling his shoulders, gives a lot of different looks throughout the entire fight, but he does dip his head a lot. And so the one time that Steve made the read on that, went for the knee, he didn't end up getting all of it, but he got a little bit of the knee. You know, it kind of grazed a little bit his head there. I was like, that's what you need to be doing more of. You made a good call on that one. And so it's like, I agree with you that there's just like some kind of block there, because like he did another thing too that I had in the notes with that he feinted the right kick and then went for the left. And I was like, that's a good misdirection on a guy who's giving you a lot of weird stuff coming back. Like, you're obviously thinking in a complex manner for a complex fighter, which is exactly how you should be. But the execution of the game plan, when it comes down to finally laying out the X's and O's of the thing, just didn't all add up to a performance that could get him the win. And so there is something there that's just like, it's holding him back from being like what he potentially could be. And whether or not it was getting to the belt and not getting it, or just, you know, that maybe the hot shotting came a little bit too quick for him, I think that might play a part in all of this. You know, is that like, because, you know, you remember the progression. I mean, 3 fights or so with a nice knock. I mean, you know, the initial reasoning I think made sense. There was one thing that I didn't mention last time we were talking about it, was that, you know, he came into this organization on short notice and got a knockout that got him ranked. He got ranked in his first fight in the organization. So he almost hot-shotted himself in that respect. But when you do something like that, it puts a lot of emphasis on what you could be as opposed to what you currently are. And so I think that maybe he might have just shot up a little bit too far and is biting off a little bit more than he can chew at this level of the division, when this division is packed with killers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, so. I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting case to see what's next for Steve. But as for Brandon Moreno, he's a 31-year-old former champ, coming back off of a little break that seemed to do great for him. I think there's big things coming for Moreno Moreno. People, listen, this guy is going to be good for a little bit longer. So get used to him putting on a striking masterclass that he knows how to do. Get ready for more scrambles if he gets up against another grappler, and be ready for another rematch, because that's probably what's about to happen with him next.
It certainly is. I mean, you know, flyweight just is this, guys. You got to accept that there are a handful of really, really elite ones that are going to be carouseling for a little while, because they're just that good. Mm-hmm. And until somebody moves up a weight, or somebody, you know, drops off, goes to a different promotion, whatever ends up happening, or somebody comes in to really shake up the division, it's just going to be this. But be happy with that, because these guys are amazing fighters. That's like, people are getting all up in arms. Oh, you know, if we're going to have to see Moreno versus Pantoja 4, I'm down. I'm okay with that. Like, I have no problem with it. The fights are good, so be cool with that. But that all being said, as I kind of have mentioned throughout this, I want to see more out of Moreno if he is going to be continuing to be one of the highest levels in this division, because I just didn't see it in this fight. I think he did enough for sure, but it was just enough. And like I said, I you know, everybody else, you know, the judges had it all across the board, 4 rounds to 1 for Moreno. I had it 3 rounds to 2. So, I mean, you know, like, I think that there's definitely different opinions about it, like, because I have heard other people, even on the Twitter feed, the Twitter graphics, I think a couple people might have had differing opinions about where the rounds were landing for this. I'm just saying that if this dude is a former champion going up against a guy who now we are sort of feeling like is, not necessarily that level, then it shouldn't have been questionable at all. It should have been across the board, knockdown, drag out.
I've talked about this plenty of times. With the flyweights, the skill gap between the top guys is not that large. When you see Pantoja, anytime he goes to decision, which is not it's not a horrible amount of times, but like it's not like full out shutouts. Like Steve Erceg was able to make it close enough where Pantoja in quote unquote scraped by, whatever you want to say. So when you get to these top guys, like the skill level, they're very high and the difference is just very little. They all have that one little thing that can just turn the fight. So when you go to Royval and Brandon Royval and then Tatsuro Taira, it's just that one little moment that Brandon Royval was able to turn the switch in that 5th round. That's what sealed the deal for him. And they both showed the key differences in their game and why they were effective, but it was just that one difference, the subtle difference in the skill gap. And I think that's what's important with the flyweights is you got to be able to know the little difference between like who has it and who doesn't. Brandon Moreno has proven to have it. Former champ, he's got the championship DNA. It goes a long way for somebody who's been there before. They've been acclimated to the scenario of 5-round fights. He knows what he's doing.
Indeed. So Moreno gets the win, kind of as we predicted. I think that this was one of our better predictions on this. And, we kind of had said that this may be the end, quote unquote, of the Steve Erceg experiment. What do you think is next for Steve then, based on all of this?
Josh Van.
I like it. I'm okay with that.
Anybody in the top whatever can get Josh Van's number and sign a goddamn contract, because I'm promising you, if Steve Erceg's the one to have it, dude, it's going to be a quick night.
Right on. Well, so that will do it for UFC Fight Night, Moreno versus Erceg. Final thoughts on this card after we've talked about it?
I was thinking about it today. Like, I genuinely do have a great respect for Mexico. They have given me a lot of great people in my life. Shout out Eddie Guerrero, shout out Rey Mysterio. These guys have been idols to me, and this card did deliver just like many moments that I've seen delivered by the idols that I just referenced. And so this one was a very special one to me. I can't wait for September for Guadalajara, because any card in Mexico or any card surrounding the Mexican fighters, they know how to bring it, and I know that there's going to be something good coming their way when I'm watching this fucking screen. Because, hey, if I had the 50K, they'd all get the bonus right now. I swear to you. Even Loopy Poopy,
Especially Loopy. Viva Mexico. It was fun.
Right.
I think this was pretty okay card overall.
Better than London for sure.
Yeah. That is absolutely accurate.
And that's what exactly what I'm saying. I was like, these guys, I'm not saying, look, the subtle difference. The Mexican fighters come out here. They know a card is dedicated to them. They got their fans. They got their hometown. Even Brandon Moreno, he's in tears talking about how he knows how expensive it was to get here, how he knows how much they paid to get there. And I was thinking to myself, I'm not going to lie. I don't even be going to these things. So I know damn well if it's like true to life, these are fans of Brandon Moreno. He's been telling them like, hey, come watch me fight. Like, these are people who have known him for all their lives type of deal. Hometown hero kind of. This was a great experience, and I'm just so happy. I love all the Mexican cards. Literally my favorites.
True. All right. Well, there you go. So good times had by all. Real quick before we get into the coming card, the card that will be taking place this weekend. This show, of course, is your everything GFL news network over here, last week's fights. So wanted to share this. GFL 1 has been announced. It is a 2-day event, 2 days of GFL number 1. So I'm not going to go through the entirety of the card here, but a couple names that you might know: Renan Barão, Uriah Faber, whole lot of UFC alums on this one. Chad Mendes, of course, Sage Norcutt, So this is all on day 1, which is the Saturday. And then on Sunday, of course, being headlined by Dylan Dennis and Tony Ferguson. Fabricio Verdum is fighting.
Still hasn't even decided an opponent yet, but they don't worry, got the whole list out.
So yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff going on in the GFL. We might even have a representative of the Hive going out to the event, perhaps. If that happens, maybe we'll get some on the ground reporting back to us about this.
We'll get him a VIP pass.
There you go. Either way, just wanted to update everybody that, GFL, they're still trying. They're still out here. They're still doing it. So we have not gotten a broadcast outlet for this yet. So we don't know where you can actually watch this thing. But once we know that, then, the die is cast, so to speak. And we will continue reporting on it throughout the entirety.
Not going to the event, but appreciate the shout out. Yeah, no problem. We just had to let you in on it.
Yeah, appreciate you, sir. All right, so just wanted to at least mention that. Let's take a quick look at next week here, or this coming week, of course.
It'll be a quick look.
Yeah, I know. We're definitely on paper. This is not not a barn burner for sure, but those often end up being the best fight nights. So
true.
Let's see it here. Oh, Michael, shout out to you. Thanks for checking in. Asks, does anybody know what happened to Charles Crazy Horse Bennett? Don't know. Was he supposed to be on the GFL card? I think he was actually, or at least he was announced for GFL. I don't know if he was actually supposed to be on GFL 1 though. So keep your eyes out for him. That's another guy who does not know when to quit. So he very well might be coming around in the near future. Maybe he'll be on GFL 2.
Hell yeah.
All right. So this coming weekend, UFC Fight Night, Emmett versus Murphy. Josh Emmett, Lerone Murphy. What are you thinking about this fight, Chase?
I think it's very interesting how you could sometimes see a matchup between two people that you would have liked to see other people, but the fact that they're fighting each other, you could probably care less about it. Like, I think if Lerone was fighting anyone else, I would be very interested in watching him fight. If Josh Emmett was fighting anyone else at this moment, I think I'd be very interested in this fight. This one right here, though, it's just not doing it for me. And I wasn't really sold on the Edson Barbosa fight with him either. And it did turn out to be a pretty good one. Same thing with the Dan Ige one with Lerone Murphy. But I don't know. I'm still just not. I don't know what it is, guys. I don't know what it is about Lerone Murphy that I'm just not sold on him being an undefeated fighter. But I will make the same point that I made about Carlos Ulberg with his fight against Jan Blachowicz. Is like they're specifically giving an opponent who's aged for the division, who's coming off of a very long break. There's a very big size advantage here for Lerone. They're giving Lerone all the advantages to win as an undefeated fighter. Will he do it? Will he actually stay undefeated? I mean, it's not an unlikely scenario for the 40-year-old to lose, So I just think it's very interesting that the matchmakers are doing some very precision matchmaking when it comes to Lerone as an undefeated fighter, because they're just waiting to throw him up against an opponent that he's actually going to lose to. I don't think this is going to be the one, because this is another one where he can stand at range and strike, and all he has to do is evade one big fucking bomb. And other than that, he should just pop him up for the next 5 rounds.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that this fight is something that I'm interested in. I mean, Josh Emmett is a dude who has only lost to like pretty sizable, decent talent. He only has the 4 losses. I mean, he's got a pretty decent record, all things considered. Lerone Murphy, of course, a rising star for sure. Somebody who I have always said that I think has potential to be a champion. I think that this might be the one where he gets checked. And I only say that because in the Dan Ige fight, he did show some flaws in his game that I was not expecting to see in that fight specifically. Now, of course, Dan Ige is a guy who surprises a lot of people. It surprises me often, is a person who I think in the past, at least, I might have thought Dan Ige was a guy who maybe was an easy stepping stone. Not so bad that he's a can or anything like that, of course, but like somebody who should be beatable, by the right person. And of course, Lerone did win the fight, but it was a lot closer than I was expecting that one to be based on what I was thinking Lerone was in the Edson Barbosa fight. Because I thought that was a masterclass by Lerone Murphy. I thought he really like showcased an amazing skill set. Emmett, on the other hand, I mean, he's a dude who has knockout power, scary knockout power. If you're going off the Bryce Mitchell knockout, of course. I
If
think
you
this
go off
might.
what Bryce Mitchell looks like and does now, yeah, it's pretty massive what he did to his brain.
He turned Bryce into a complete laughing stock after the fight was already 4 months removed, multiple months removed. That's how devastating a knockout by Josh Emmett is. He turns you into an entirely different person supporting a whole set of beliefs that you otherwise would not. But that being said, I think that my thing with this is that Emmett is a lot slower than Murphy. So if Murphy's going to be able to continuously move and keep himself at range, like you said, maybe there's a victory for him in there. But it's going to be very hard for Lerone to get his own points off fighting that way. He's going to have to fight a little bit like Steve Erceg, honestly. I mean, trying to get in a couple and then get the fuck out of there, fighting like Paulo Costa against Sean Strickland. You know what I mean? Like, and that to me is something that I think that Emmett probably will be able to figure out as this fight goes on. If we're talking about him doing that throughout 3 rounds, by round 4 and definitely by 5, I think that Emmett would have an answer for that. That's where at least my thought process is. If Emmett does not have that answer, then yeah, it could just be a long point fight affair for Lerone Murphy and he gets an easy dub off of it. But I think that Emmett should, at this point in his career, be able to answer that style and do it with an emphatic amount of power.
Hot take. I mean, I think, in my opinion, Dan Ige has a better skill set than Josh Emmett, and I think it was a better example of what Lerone can do against somebody who has a lot of facets to their game. Josh Emmett, on the other hand, is just a dude who's higher in the ranks, but I think this is an easier matchup for him, for Lerone on paper. I think Dan Ige can offer a lot more things than Josh Emmett. I mean, it's like Pubes just said, watch out for Emmett's meaty overhand. Like that's really, what else is he gonna do?
Well, that was going to be my point, though, is that I do agree with you that that Dan Ige has a better, more well-rounded skill set, but the difference maker to me is the power of Josh Emmett. And of course, a lot of that may have come from the copious amounts of steroids that he has done in the past. Let's not forget that.
Nice. Okay.
Oh yeah, Emmett's a pop for real. But anyway, the point is that like I do think that is the difference maker. I think that if he can catch him now. Again, Lerone is a lot faster though, so it is like that's why I think that this is a better fight than you might be giving it credit for. I think that this is going to be a stylistic matchup that's going to be like almost kind of cat and mouse to an extent if Lerone fights the way that he generally does and Emmett fights the way that he generally does.
My initial thoughts, and maybe I'll change my thought through the week. I often do this after doing a little more talking around the block. But Lerone Murphy, this performance against Josh Emmett feels like I will leave this fight night saying he's not going to be undefeated much longer. It may not be the next one, but I'm going to be praying on his downfall because I just don't believe the running and evading style for 5 rounds. I just don't see you making it a lasting engaging fucking performance on any of your fucking fights. So I don't know. I just think Lerone, you got to make this one really good. The Edson Barbosa fight, I will give you credit. You did do good. I just still am not sold on you as a fighter, as a top fighter in this division. Illy is gone, so anything's really possible now. But Diego Lopez might be able to, figure this out a little better. I don't know. He's a little quicker.
It's funny that you say it that way too, because I was going to say that like my fight with him feeling that way was the Dan Ige fight. That's where I was like, yeah, because I had a lot of faith in Lerone Murphy based on the Barbosa fight and some of his earlier fights beyond that. And then after the Ige fight, I was like, ooh, this this is a guy who is looking a lot more human now. Is looking like he might be beatable over here. So this, you're very well could be correct on this one, where this could be just an extension of that, where, you know, it's another one that's like, I mean, he won the fight, but it's got to be coming sometime kind of thing. I could see that happening. We've just been in a meta this year that you know about, with undefeated fighters losing their O's left and right. So I don't know. I'm on the fence about this one, and at a minus 330, it's a bit of a high price tag for him, based on what we saw in the Dan Ige fight. To be perfectly honest, I mean, and also I think that Josh Emmett is just a guy that a lot of people count out for some reason, even though he only has the 4 losses. And if one of them is to Ilya, who, you know, is obviously on a different stratosphere than 99% of fighters in general, that, you know, I mean, take that one out of the equation, and who has he lost to that really gives you that much like pause? You know what I mean? Like that really is like, oh, Josh Emmett ain't that.
True. Yeah, I hear you. But he's a roid freak, so whatever.
Yeah, that's always gonna be the case. I don't remember if he actually did pop or if that was just a huge rumor that was going around.
Oh,
so
nice.
Maybe
Thanks.
I would say,
a roid freak.
I'm catching myself on that one too, because I did kind of state that as a definitive fact, but I do know that had at least been talked about a lot in his case, that he was juicing. But I don't know if that was like, I'll have to go back and do the research to find out if that was 100% confirmed or not. Like if he has an actual USADA pop or something like that.
Cool.
So let's put that into context. Sorry, I apologize.
Put a pin in it. We'll get back to you.
Exactly. Indeed. So I apologize if it's not true.
I don't.
Fair. I'll take that on me. All right. So moving on to Pat Sabatini versus Joe Anderson Brito. Yeah, I mean, this card drops off, dude. I was gonna say this card drops off really quickly here. Yeah, this is well, what are you thinking about it though? I mean, Joe Anderson Brito.
These dudes, Joe Anderson Brito just lost to a dude he arguably beat the dude that he should have beat, because he should have just used a game plan against William Gomi that was a lot better. Just like Hyder Emil, he should have just been able to track him down and put the pause on him and just say, fuck the stupid shit that he's doing. Let me just do it. And he did a good deal of it. And he also tried to wrestle a little bit with him. And unfortunately, he lost that fight. And he probably thought he won. But being in a co-main event after a performance like that, not too inspiring. And for you to go against Pat Sabatini in the co-main event, it's just kind of fucking blasphemy.
Yeah. I think that potentially Pat Sabatini could get his hands on him and make this a very wrestle heavy thing, and then we'll end up seeing American wrestling versus some BJJ action, which could be entertaining. I'm kind of leaning towards Pat on this one, but it's a tough call, because like you said, it's just one of those ones that neither of these guys are like the standout dudes that I'm really like putting a lot of like emphasis on either way. So it's kind of hard to make a definitive statement about this one. But yeah, I was not super impressed with Brito and the way he conducted himself in the last fight, as far as, you know, his navigation of that fight with Gomi. So yeah, I mean, you know, just the two of them together, I'll you know, as of right now, at least go for Pat on this one. That's where my gut's telling me.
I'll still go Brito. Pat that dude's not good at all. Brito is just not too inspiring in his last performance, but I just mean that in the sense of him being in a co-main event spot. He's probably going to win this fight. If it goes to the ground, he's probably just going to lay on top and hammer some strikes and, you know, skate away with a decision.
Yeah, fair. That might be likely. Yeah, maybe I'll amend that, but I don't know. That was just that's where the gut was going. I think that maybe Brito might be a little bit on the backslide, even though he was like on a pretty good trajectory there up until the Gomez fight. So
he's still only 30.
Yeah, it's fair too. I mean, Pat is getting to that age. He is 34, so maybe there's a little bit less for him. But my gut was telling me Pat Sabatini. I'll at least stick with it just for the sake of it. Moving on, Cortavius Ramius. This is now his second fight in the organization, right? He had one fight before that. I believe that he lost. I think.
I want to say that stepped up on short notice.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that's what it was. I think I could be wrong.
Yeah. So, you know, off of the Contender Series recently, had the one fight in the organization, did not win in his debut. going up against Chang Ho Lee, who I believe is a Road to UFC contender here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this should be the time for Ramius to go out there and really show his stuff if he's really about it. I have, aside from Rongju, that's the only dude from Road to UFC.
Shiming.
Well, yeah, all right. The only male fighter from Road to UFC that I've seen that has given me like any real confidence. I don't know. Maybe Lee is going to be one of those dudes that's a standout that I'm not as familiar with. So maybe there's more potential there. But Ramius needs to win this fight because 2 in a row after just getting into the organization is not a good look.
I think this is kind of a feeder fight for him. I mean, on paper, you have a 5'4" bantamweight, and I know this is, you're kind of in Hobbit territory, but Cortavius Ramius is one of those dudes who's just a genetic freak kind of athlete, and he's got the ability to be good if he puts his mind to it. And when you get to these roads of the UFC guys, the talent's not there yet. Some of them are decent. Some of them can pull off some great moments. Shi Ming, of course, is a great one to bring up. And also Jiu-Jitsu is another decent one. But but this one right here, I'm not too sold. I would have to see him actually do something really good before I'm like, okay, this guy has a chance to be good. But Cortavius, I mean, I don't think he did horrible in that matchup. And I want to believe it definitely was short notice that he stepped up. Cause I remember thinking like, wow, this dude right out the gate, like, this is what you do. You want to be in the UFC, you take that fucking fight, like, kind of deal.
Yeah, no, I seem to remember that as well. So I think you're on the money with that one. Yeah, so, go out there and get the win. I mean, he is the dog in this one. So I'd say that it's a very live dog.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. We might have us a dog, boys.
There you go. Moving on down the line. Here's your absolute lock of the card: Kennedy and Chezuku versus Martin Budai. I mean, Kennedy is going to walk through Budai and go and have himself a sandwich afterwards. I think that this is going to be a stroll in the park for Kennedy.
Shout out Slovakia. That's where Martin Budai's from. But yeah, he's definitely losing. Hate to break that one to you guys. I mean, I don't think anybody out there is thinking like, oh, damn, he didn't agree that Martin Budai is going to win. Nobody's probably ever going to pick this dude. Kennedy is on something right now. I'm not going to say it's anything illegal to the sport, but he's on another level is probably more like it. He is fucking cooking at heavyweight. And minus 300 makes me believe that they're worried that he might take a big shot. True heavyweight power is a little different from moving up. But Kennedy's got this style. He ain't getting hit. Not from this bum. He's going to hit him with 5 teeps. The dude's going to start doubling over, and then he's just going to come over and just work him. Elbows, short shots, uppercuts. Dude, Kennedy has got so much in his bag. I'm so baffled that, like, the success didn't come at light heavyweight because I can't tell you what would be wrong with what I'm seeing right here. And I know he's going up against competition that are giving him targets to hit with crazy creative abilities. But as of right now, this is dark horse. Like, Tom better watch the fuck out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that really what we're seeing with Kennedy and Chezuku is a pipeline that makes a hell of a lot of sense. Guys who are able to make heavyweight and be competitive there, coming in from a lower weight where they have to be a little bit more well-rounded to begin with. A lot of these other weights, it's not always going to be just about going out there and swinging lumber. It's like you actually have to have a full set of skills in order to operate at light heavyweight generally. I mean, light heavyweight right now, it's slightly debatable, I guess, but the point is that like he's coming off of being more well-rounded as his base. Now he's going into heavyweight where it's just a hodgepodge of sloppy dudes. It's like he actually is coming in with the mindset and the ability to win these fights and do it definitively. And it's working like gangbusters for him right now. So I don't see any which way about this one. I think that Kennedy is going to continue on doing exactly what he's been doing at heavyweight, and that is winning this fight definitively.
Hell yeah.
So moving on, the card is saved. Chase, I don't know what we were talking about earlier. This card is fantastic now because Brad Tavares is fighting the GOAT, Gerald Meerschaert.
I think it's funny that they keep not giving Gerald Meerschaert that co-main event spot, but they'll put absolute bums over him. It's pretty crazy to me. But this one should be decent enough that Gerald Meerschaert probably takes a beating for a little bit, and then they go to the ground tired, and maybe a sub comes late, but I don't believe so. I believe Brad Tavares. Oh, this is the dude that worked over Chris Weidman when he came back.
Sure is.
Lovely. This dude can have good game plans when he wants to. I believe in the last matchup, I was questioning why you didn't show me the IQ level that you did against Chris Weidman. Like, where was the thought? Like, okay, I can hinder, I can use something to my advantage. I didn't feel like he had that in this last one. Might have been against the Iron Turtle, now that I think about it. I could be wrong. Or maybe that got canceled. I think that got canceled now that I think about it. No. That was supposed to be on Macau, I think, and then they pulled out for illness.
I thought that they did fight, though. Did they not? Maybe not. Yeah, okay, maybe you're good memory.
I'm cooking tonight. But
apparently.
So yeah, this one, it's a hard one to say. This is two vets where, I don't know, this should be coin flip territory just because they're both two gritty vets that if the ref doesn't stop it early enough, they might continue on until the other one finishes.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, if you're going for method over here, Gerald Meerschaert by decision or submission, if you have a special or something on your book, that would certainly be the way to go if you want to be playing it risky. But I think that Tavares should, if he knows what's good for him, he comes out the gate hot. You often hear me talking about this, guys who are quick starters in this sport. The early bird gets the worm a lot of the times, and I think that if he's able to come out here and land some heavy paws on Meerschaert early, Gerald is a tough guy. He'll take a lot of damage and still be able to somehow, hold his own. But I do think that Tavares should be able to put this one away inside the distance, just based on all of the factors. But we know that Gerald Meerschaert is a dude who somehow, some way can win a goddamn fight. Like, it just, he claws these victories out of the jaws of defeat time and time again. So my heart is always going to be going for Gerald Meerschaert. I'm a fan, so maybe that's clouding my judgment a little bit, but Gerald Meerschaert by decision, that's calling to me a little bit over here. It's speaking my name a little bit.
I'm hearing you. I like it.
Torres Finney versus Robert Valentin. Oh man, our boys from the Ultimate Fighter and the Contender Series are in the big show finally for Torres Finney in the big show. What are you thinking about this fight?
Well, I think when Torres Finney walks in and he gets to look up in the rafters and he sees 3 of his trunks hanging up there, I think he's going to be very proud of the accomplishments that he has already. And I don't think the moment is going to slip from him, even though I think Robert Valentin is going to be a very good talent if he somehow pulls off this win. His career is very crucial to this moment because he's already taken a loss in the finals of Tough. He needs to have this victory so people buy into the hype that he actually can be a decent prospect. But if he loses now, he lost to the dude that's been on Contender Series 3 times. I mean, it's not a good look. But it is an interesting matchup to see who's able to pull this out. Robert Valentin is very crafty, very interesting, but Torres Finney is very textbook, very wrestle fuck kind of. He's going to get you down and he's going to lay on you, and we'll see what happens. I mean, he's 2 for 3 on finishes in his Contender Series. I mean, he got a knockout and a submission and a decision. I mean, pulled the trifecta. So he can really do it all right here. Robert Valentin better be worried that this is not a walk in the park. But Torres Finney, do not overshoot my boy Robert Valentin because he's fucking good.
Yeah, I think that the issue on this fight is that Finney is also, in addition to being well-rounded, even for his size, he is durable. And I think that that's going to be the problem, is that Valentin is... He's good, but I don't think he's going to be able to do enough on the ground to negate any of the very competent Torres Finney when it comes to ground game. And then if that's the case there, and he's starting to get tied up time and time again, and he's like, okay, well, now we have to go to striking because this is what is going to be the method of victory. Finney can take a decent shot. So I'm riding with Torres Finney on this one, not because I don't like Robert Valentin, but just because I think that skill for skill, he's going to be a tough challenge based on what Robert brings to the table. And then when plan A is not going his way and he goes to plan B is not going to be there.
if you think even further into it, right? Dana White has told this dude 2 times that I don't believe you are the guy for this promotion. The third time, he regretfully had to accept him. So going into this matchup, you have to understand that Dana's looking in the matchmaking going, who is going to prove me right? Who is going to make it look like I knew all along that he was not ready for this sport or this promotion? Robert Valentine is the guy that he's chosen. He's got some high regards around the UFC PI for what he's done in The Ultimate Fighter. He was a very good teammate. He was around in the coaches' corners for a lot of the fucking team, for a lot of the teammates. And listen, so maybe Dana White knows something that we don't. Mick Maynard, Hunter Campbell, Sean Shelby. If you guys put this together to give Robert Valentine the opportunity to make Dana White look like he knew something all along, I'm really down for this upset.
Oh, same. And yeah, none of my assessment of the fight has any bearing on Valentine as a person. He's a great dude. Like he is a legitimately good, humble guy. Also, like a rather lonely guy. If you remember
Dude,
from the
fucking
Ultimate
brought his
Fighter.
neighbor to fucking The Ultimate Fighter.
Everybody's calling home to their friends and families, and he's talking to his homie. I mean, he's a dude who, he's dedicated his life to fighting, and it is all consuming to him. We've called him like the Swiss Yuri in a lot of ways, where it's like if he doesn't train in the mountains, he very
He's
well
having a bad day,
yeah,
like
he's a mountain man at heart if he's not literally out there. So it's like, he's just cut from a different cloth in a lot of ways, and he's definitely a guy to root for. So I certainly don't want to see him lose. I just think that based on all of what we have seen up until this point, that's where I'm trending towards in my mindset. But if he takes this fight, I'd be super happy.
So what do you think? You think Dana put this together for a reason? You think he knows that Torres is not ready for this promotion, and this is the fight that's going to make sure he's not getting, far? You think?
I think it's the reverse Uno on that one. I think he's putting this one together to be like, look, if I have to let this guy into the promotion, he better at least get a goddamn win now.
And he does have a pretty big following, so I don't think that's like unheard of for that to be the case. Torres Finney, a lot of people, they know him because he's the guy that can't get in the UFC kind of deal. So the fact that he's finally in the UFC, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering what his first performance is going to look like.
Well, and also we have to also keep in mind that even though he was not led into the UFC, he won all 3 of those fights pretty convincingly. This guy is a well-rounded fighter. He's just small and he often fights boring. There's a guy named Bilal Muhammad who has a belt right now, if you recall. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that there's like as big of a barrier as the 3 contender series appearances like makes it out to be. If anything, he now has all of the experience in the world. Like this dude is still undefeated also, by the way. I mean, he's coming in 10-0. So I think there's a lot going for Torres Finney. Will it be the most electric performances you've ever seen in your life? Probably not. It potentially could be you've got a knockout on there, at least a TKO. So, I mean, there is potential for it perhaps, but the man knows how to win a fight. So I think that this will validate that.
Hell yeah. Yeah, this will be a good one. I'm excited.
I'm excited too, actually, for that one, for sure. See, this card's growing on me a little bit. This one less so. This is Ode Osborne versus Louis Garule. Garule coming in off the contender series also. He is, I believe, a dude. He won by decision, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say so.
Against Piccinini.
Yeah, the dude against Piccinini. Yeah,
I remember that fight from the Piccinini dude, but I can't remember what exactly.
I think it was because Piccinini ended up coming back and fighting a second time based on, or maybe this was the second one. I want to say, but either way, decent fighter if I recall. I mean, I gave him his props at the time. He's definitely a durable guy. From what I recall on that one, I'll have to go back and re-listen to our discussion about it to remember the full extent of it. But Ode Osborne coming off the loss to Lazy Boy. We talked a little bit about that earlier. So maybe this is a decent matchup for Ode, I would say. I mean, he's a much more experienced guy, and this is the debut for the Contender Series guy and undefeated.
Hell yeah.
So what are you thinking?
I mean, I really don't even give a shit about this one, to be honest. Ode's one of these dudes. Like, again, it's a flyweight guy that I don't really keep an eye on, so he's not on my radar. If Luis Garule, I think is actually what it is. If he comes out here and makes a statement right here, right now, I mean, this is another flyweight guy to look out for. But up until I see it, this is just a matchup that I have to wait to watch, because Ode Osborne is not somebody I'm like, oh, these are my flyweight guys. Let's see what they can do. But just like always, these guys have a well-rounded skill set. They have to have every facet of the game. There's probably going to be some decent scrambles. The striking's probably going to be fucking fast as hell. Just be ready for a good one. This will be good. I just not too terribly excited for either of them. But I'm excited for a flyweight matchup.
For sure. But do you want the casino style inside story kind of thinking that I have with Ode Osborne? I'll go 40 chess on this one.
Yeah.
Ode Osborne is very active in the business side of the sport. He's diversified. He's involved with gaming. He's got like a couple of other ventures that he's been working on that are not solely him in ring. So perhaps if he's pushing in a couple of different directions, he might already be working on his after fighting stuff, trying to set himself up a little bit. So maybe he's not as 100% in it as other fighters are. I'm just saying I see him a lot in certain business discussions and stuff like that. Just putting it out there, that's something that you can consider or completely toss in the trash. But if you factor those kinds of things in, going a little bit deeper into the analysis, just something to keep in mind. Maybe Garule is 100% committed, hungry, coming in on his first fight in the organization, wanting to make a statement, and Ode Osborne maybe a little bit more okay with taking a loss.
Right. I hear you that.
All right, moving on. Davy Grant versus Daniel Santos. Davy Grant, the Englishman with the crazy rib cage. What do you think?
Davy Grant. I'm trying to think of the last. Let me double check. He fought somebody last, and I actually was very impressed with his performance. Roman Tavares, yeah, he actually beat him. Yeah, and I was big on Roman Tavares, and I thought, wow, Davy Grant showed out a lot. Daniel Santos, I don't think that's the right picture for him, unless every single skinny Brazilian guy with blonde hair looks like this. I don't know. This dude looks
that's what he is.
Yeah, this looks like every other person, and he does come from Shootbox, so he's just like the dude we saw last week. Fuck, whatever his name is, Felipe dos Santos.
Felipe dos Santos, yeah.
Yeah, so whatever. Either
way. Yeah, I mean, I'll go with Davey on this one tentatively based on the Ramon Tavares performance, but Santos on a 2-fight win streak, with one of those being Johnny Munoz, if you factor that in.
I mean, you also got to factor in Davy Grant's 39.
It's true too. Yeah. Almost. I mean, it's not quite a pick 'em, but it's close enough to it. So, yeah, I guess make your decisions as you will on that one. But all right with Davy Grant, why not? I mean, even though England versus Brazil will usually be the victors in that matchup. Just strictly a country versus country kind of thing. But let's hope that Grant can pull something out that we're not thinking about.
Hell yeah.
Diana Belbita versus Diani Barbosa.
Pound for pound, fucking 21 versus 23 right here. Like, this is ridiculous. This fight, who cares?
Yeah. You want fights every weekend. This is what you end up with. But they got to fight somewhere. And this could be an amazing fight. This could be the best fight on the card. Come on.
I'm really praying that they get knockouts, because that's what you got to do to be a woman with some big aspirations these days. If you're a knockout lady, hey, you're like top of the list right now. If you are somebody who can come out here and get subs, okay, you're kind of middle of the road. But if you come out here and get decisions, you're just like every other woman, and I question why you're on the card.
All right. I mean,
But shout out Romania. I actually will talk to my Romanian friend, and I'll let her know, like, hey, we got another one.
There you go. Barbosa, a huge favorite in this fight. So, I mean, I think it's warranted. Probably a much more well-rounded skill set based on what she has done. But I want to say she's coming off of a loss. Yeah, I'd say she was coming off of a loss to Miranda Maverick. Did not look great in that fight. So take it for what it is. It has a win over Ernesta. I know you're very high on Ernesta. So
Deanna Belbita, she has lost to Molly McCann. So
there you go. I think that speaks volumes right there. Go for the favorite.
Yeah. All right.
Reese McKee.
This dude's finally back.
Yeah, Reese McKee finally back with all of his Indian ink tattoos that are very questionable. Versus Daniel Frunza. Frunza, another Contender Series guy, I believe. So I don't know. I think that you're always rolling the dice with Contender Series guys. Reese McKee, a dude who has
another Romanian. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no, not that. There you go. No, shout out to Romania. They got a good representation on this card. I would go with the veteran as opposed to the Contender Series guy based on this fight. But Frunza, how did he win that Contender Series fight? Yeah, he won it by KO. So
what I think is interesting is that I remember Reese McKee getting smoked in his last matchup. But if you go back, it was a split decision loss to Chidi, which actually isn't that crazy. I mean, a unanimous decision to Angelus is pretty crazy. But the Chidi split decision, if you look back, that doesn't age too poorly. And if I remember him getting smoked and he actually didn't, why did he take a year to he took over a year to come back? Like Reese hasn't fought in so long. When was that last fight? March 2024. It's a long time. I mean, that's we're past it. Been a year.
True. Yeah, I recall that fight being somewhat boring, is I think why maybe you thought he got smoked, because it was a lot of clinching going on. So
yeah,
maybe
probably.
If Frunza is a little bit more dynamic, perhaps there's a potential for him to pull the upset. He is the favorite.
Yeah.
All right, moving on down here. Luma Lukbumi versus Estela Nunes. This should be a fairly easy layup for Lukbumi.
She's 5'1".
Yeah, she's super tiny. Oh, and one of the few actual representatives of Thailand in the UFC. Of course, a lot of fighters go to train in Thailand. Thailand, of course, known for Muay Thai and a lot of fine mixed martial artists in that region. But often they're going over to one championship. Lukbumi, she might be the only Thai fighter in the UFC right now, as far as men or women. Mm-hmm. So that being said, though, she's not bad. She's not great, I would say. I mean, she's kind of just like middle of the road, but Estela Nunes is, I mean, this record is so bad.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, she's coming off of a 4-fight losing streak here. She's 1-4 in her last 5 with losses to a couple of names that are not the best.
Classic yeah. Women record,
Yeah.
Come into the UFC, lose all 4 straight. Yeah.
Solid. Pretty much. So, I guess I think that should be a fairly easy victory for Lukbumi. She's probably just going to clinch her up a whole lot and wrestle her on the cage a bunch.
I would hope. I remember watching Lukbumi before, and yeah, she's not great. But if she wins this one, hell, I don't care. Good for her.
Yeah, I mean, she's a -600 for a reason in this one, and I'd say that 4 losses in a row is probably the reason.
Yeah.
Get her out. All right. Yeah. So rounding this thing out, Victor Henry, the nutshot from hell. Victor Henry versus Pedro Falcao. Victor Henry is the dude with the cool Boston Crab tattoo, and I believe, coming off of a loss to Charles Jourdain, Air Jourdain, win over Ronnie Yaya. That's that speaks a little bit. Ronnie Yaya, of course, getting the win over Peyton Talbot. Mm-hmm. So, he kind of rose his own stock, but Henry has a win over him.
And Ronnie Yaya wasn't the one who beat Peyton Talbot. That was Barca.
Oh, that was Hani Barcelos. Yes, I'm very mistaken there. You are correct. Okay. So take all of that and just throw it out the fucking window.
Yeah, this one again, I mean, hopefully these are barn burner type of matchups on the Apex. I want to say this dude's a grappler. If you look at his picture, he's got a fucking shirt on. I don't know why. That's weird, but I've seen grapplers wear shirts all the time, so I would assume he's just a grappler with a shirt on, but I could be wrong. So whatever. I mean, does have 5 subs, but this one again, it's like you just gotta pray that these ones are barn burners because going into them, there's not much that you can make excitement for. You can't build hype out of these guys because they don't have the killer mixtapes. They don't have the cool backstories that you know of. They don't have the stat sheets that tell you historic numbers that they've done. Like, you just gotta go in, and these are where you learn favorite fighters. So.
Right. That's a good point. Exactly. That a lot of these fighters that we like don't have these like defined pictures of in our minds. Like this is how you get them. So,
Yeah.
if we're sounding like, oh, these guys don't know what they're talking about. It's like, well, I mean, there's not much to know yet.
Yeah.
So, we're all forming our own opinions as we go along here. So, yeah, we'll see how that one ends up being. I'll tentatively side with Henry on that one.
This is a lock.
Of it for Vanessa
Yes.
Demopoulos. Yeah, Vanessa Demopoulos versus Talita Alencar. Well, state your reasoning, sir.
Well, Alencar is physically unable to have a gas tank after the second round. She has shown that in the 2 fights that she had against Stephanie Luciano, she got a draw in the Contender Series matchup because after the second round, she let fucking Stephanie Luciano beat the hell out of her. Vanessa Demopoulos is a classic example of a decision merchant. She knows how to get to the bell. She knows how to win via judging. I think she's going to clearly win this one, all the way to the bell, unanimous decision, laying on her the entire time. Alencar is not going to have the gas tank after the first round of grappling. She's going to do that whole shit where she gets hit, she lays on the ground, she starts butt scooting, she won't get up. She just does a lot of things that don't make you feel inspired by her performances. Vanessa Demopoulos, you know what you're going to get out of her. The sub to Jacqueline Emery, she was grabbing the shit out of her glove. I don't know what to tell you. So this one here, I think this is one of the locks of the night. This should be the house lock for minus 105 lock house.
I was going to say, I mean, it's a pick 'em on paper. So if that's, you're feeling as strongly about that, then go with your gut. Go with Chase Parton over here and give him shit next week if he is incorrect. That's what you got to do. So there you go. Of course, we will watch these fights with you guys if you come and hang out with either of us. Myself here on the Yama channel with the Vitz King will be doing our watch along. And Chase, I know that you can tell them where they can find you.
They will be finding me on youtube.com/SCP-Smalls, doing watch-alongs on Saturday every time there's a UFC event and Karate Combat and GFL at the time. Knucklemania is also a great one to look for. But also on Twitter, we will be having some fun on x.com/creativeparton, PARTIN.
Follow my boy. I am on X and on Instagram at Yama Show. Still, I know this is multiple weeks, but still working on the Facebook page. It's going to get there one way or another, people. Just give it some time. But if you search Yelling About Mixed Martial Arts on Facebook, you can find it.
Sign the petition to get him his account back.
Exactly. Yeah, for real. Free Yama. But like, follow, do all of that good stuff. Make sure you are subscribed to both of our channels, and we will catch up with you later in the week. New content coming out on Yama this week as well, so keep your eyes open. We'll catch up with you, everybody. Have a great rest of your week until we see you next time. And as always, fight on.